Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to SimSpeed TV or here on a Tuesday night. And after a short break for Christmas, the SimWorks Roads to Rumble is back with us once again here on air. My name's Daniel Yeaman. I'm joined by Nick Scrave in the commentary box and Jake Kennedy on production tonight. Nick, great to have you with me here tonight. How are you looking forward to the start of this new season for the MX5 series?
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. Thank you for having me. And it's been such a already ripper start to the week as well. I know the TCR battles and stuff yesterday were pretty full on. We're going to see, I think, a few of our drivers between the two events here taking on the MX5s, which is a very different beast to the TCRs, at two very well-known tracks as well. So being Okayama and the Boot, as well as of Watkins Glen.
That's indeed. So yes, here tonight with a pre-season testing race. So great to be able to actually bring the full season and then some for you tonight. So as mentioned, we're starting tonight with a race here at Okayama International Circuit. As you can see the track map on screen right now. It's 12 corners, and I believe I missed the track length there, but it's just under, I believe, 4 kilometers. You can see there. Actually, 11 corners according to the graphic. We'll go with the number on screen for you all. Short run to turn 1 from the grid spot of just 220 meters. Also a relatively flat circuit around here, Nick, so don't have to worry too much about elevation change, but plenty of good overtaking opportunities through the first corner, outward curve, the hairpin at the end of the back straightaway, as well as the final hairpins through, say, Redmond and the end sector there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd have to say as well, Okayama being such a big feature, not only in the amateur and also in the advanced MX5, so all these drivers have no excuse. They have all done, you would have to say, hundreds if not thousands of laps around this circuit in this combination, so I think we'll see some really fast times and some really close racing. And you'd have to say as well, very in the way of elevation change, it is a lot flatter than some of our other circuits. Probably one to note as well is that first corner, as well as Williams on those cold tyres. I think that would be really one to watch as you kind of have that direction change as they go through on those cold radial tyres with the MX5s.
Absolutely. Leaning on the car here through the opening sector to try and maintain corner speed is going to be a challenge as these guys get the tyres up to temperature, and they need to obviously make sure they look after those cars. So here's the details for the first survey here tonight, because we've got both an AM division race that we're covering here first, followed by a Pro Division straight afterwards. So for our AM Division here, we've got 3 10-lap races tonight once we've complete qualifying in a couple of minutes' time. In 2 of those races, every driver must change at least 2 tyres. So there will be a little bit of strategy here tonight for sure, whether drivers take, well, for one, which 2 races they choose to take those pit stops, but then also deciding what tyres they're going to change. So on top of that, reverse top 10 based on the results from race 1. That reverse will apply to the race 2 grid. So yeah, a lot of strategy going to be flying around here, even for this first race, this series, as we see it carry through for the next couple of weeks. So going to be great to see how that plays out starting here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that'll be one of the things that we will see, especially in that first race. We'll see that really big fight there for those top 3 positions, trying to get those points for the season, as well as we'll see it'll probably be that massive race there for that last 9th and 10th positions there to try and get that reverse grid spot as well, to try and give them that little bit of an advantage. We've seen before in some of our previous MX5 seasons, we've done full reverse grids, which usually favoured some of the people that got knocked out a little bit earlier on there. It always brings in too much mayhem, so maybe a top 10 reverse will still bring in plenty of action there. We're just seeing, I think that is Eric Fenson there and Wade McCulloch coming around the circuit there at the moment. Eric in all kinds of crosses up there. Great save there in that little MX5.
Yeah, so as you can see here, drivers just finishing up their qualifying laps. We've got just under 2 minutes left on the clock, but drivers only are allowed to set 2 lap times. So there might be a couple of drivers out here just getting some remaining practice in, because it looks like at the moment we've got Callan Hodgkinson, as we can see on screen here, currently lapping around, along with Ray Harrison and Brandon McMillan to round out the drivers remaining on track. So they've all completed. Well, actually, correction. Callan is still actually on lap number 2, so we'll ride with him to the end of this one here as he brings it towards the final 2 corners. 147.000 was his first lap here, so hopefully looking to improve. Around the final corner, maybe a little bit more track there available to use on that exit curb. We'll see as he brings it down to the line. If he improves here, Nick, what do we think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, quite a big improvement there. So that has put him around that 17th position there. His time that he did have there would have put him all the way down the back there previous. Usually those out laps a little bit slower there as you get that temperature into the tyres. So it's actually just casting my eyes over the list as well. So great to see a lot of newcomers and stuff. It's just definitely some of these leagues that we've been running this season have just been so popular. And as we've seen, we're going to split the MX-5s into that AM and Pro class. So a really healthy number there to start the season off.
Yeah, talking about numbers, an entry list of 90 drivers for this series as we get underway tonight. That's an incredible turnout. I'm sure the admins are really happy with that and to be able to get the numbers coming in the door. But let's look at the grid now for the first of these AM division races. It's Matt Van Egmond on pole there with a 144.294. Will be joined by Neil McKenzie on the front row, Chad Lewis and Ben Ferguson on row number 2, followed by Eric Fenson and Jamie Willits on the third row. And we'll head over the page here now as we carry through the field to Jesse White-Carrig in 7th, followed by Dave Gogol in 8th, Anthony Connors in 9th, Brinley Eastwood 10th place, Dylan Canto 11th, and Roderick Hollis on row number 6 and 12th position there.
There we go on row 7 there, Luke Claver, Darren Linus, Brandon McMillan there and Terry Knowles on row 8, Callan Hodgkinson and Tony Vesselis there on row 9. I think we still do have a minute and a half there before we start. So we've got Brett Moulton, Graham Ellis there on row 10, Jamie Budd.
Can we get through turn 1 cleanly? That's the big question for me, I think, for this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit hair-raising there, especially in these big fields and these smaller, slower cars there. You really want to be as far as you can to that front of the field because it can get quite congested there in the middle if someone has a spin and all these concertina effects. But just seeing our last of our cars grid up here at the moment. We're almost ready to make a start.
Yeah, waiting on a few cars, it looks like they're on screen for you folks. But on my end, the front of the grid is all looking pretty full, and the revs coming up on my end. So almost time to get this show underway, folks. Simworks Roads to Rumble for Season 3 is underway here.
Van Egmond
There we go. So Van Egmond from the pole gets away nicely to take the lead into turn number 1. While McKenzie as they go single file up front, but a little bit of action at the back. And goodness me, that's Jamie Willits on the inside of turn 1, smoking heavily. Something already wrong with that car and in the grass. That looking like it's going to be a retirement and a tow back to the lane very early there for Jamie. That's really unfortunate there. Everyone else getting cleanly through turns 1 and 2, I believe, as we head down to Atwood Curve for the first time in this race, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. I do believe that might have been a mischief or an over-rev there, so very unfortunate. Not exactly how you want to start that season there. We're seeing a few of the MX-5s going too wide. Don't want to kind of put the curse on there, but a relatively clean start here. We were expecting maybe a little bit more carnage than what we were seeing. Kind of just seeing, I think that is Ben Ferguson there on the back of these two, all very close together as they come through into that hairpin there.
2 and 3 wide down into the hairpin here, Nick. I'm seeing a little bit of side by side, possibly some panel rubbing, but everyone seems to have gotten through all right. So the good streak carries on as we head out of the hairpin. And just as I say that though, turn 7 Piper, that's a car off on the outside. Who have we got there? It's Ben Ferguson there in the number 30 machine. Unfortunately, has to sit and wait for the field to go by. That's not what he was hoping for. But up the front of the field, Van Egmond, after that good start at the beginning of the race, he's had Neil McKenzie close the gap back up. So race is certainly on up and down the field. But just as I'm talking, back at the field, Tony Vesselis there in the number 77 has been hit possibly. And then at the corner immediately afterwards, we've got more drama for several cars, Nick.
Yeah, we've seen Dylan Canto as well facing the wrong way around. We've actually seen quite a lot of cars come into the pits now, so kind of shouting back to that strategy that we were talking before there. So if you cars wanting to get their pit stop out the way early. Might be a really good idea there, not wanting to get yourself caught in traffic. It's even though it's quite a flowing circuit, it is quite narrow in a lot of positions there. So for a lot of people, if you're stuck behind maybe a slower car, it can get a bit tricky getting around there. Just seeing car number 7 there, Darren Linus, in shot at the moment. He's moving his way up to the field there. I think that was, we were looking at Ben Ferguson. I think he was the first one to have that accident a little bit earlier on, so he was in 4th position all the way down into 22nd or 23rd. So a bit of damage control there for Ben Ferguson. It's going to be maybe a bit of a tricky effort there to get into somewhere around that top 10 position and try and get back through the field there. We're just having a look there at Brendan McMillan.
Yes, it's definitely not the start Ben would be wanting, so just keep an eye on him here as he makes his way with, well, 1 pit stop complete for him at least, means he only has to complete 1 more later on in the race. But keep an eye here further up the field, as I said, with car 115 of Brandon McMillan here as he heads into turn 8 at Redfern Corner in the final complex here. He's got Callan Hodgkinson directly ahead for 6th position, and Darren Linus, as we were mentioning there, good speed off the start for Darren. Immediately behind him in 8th as we see Brandon pull into the pit entry to take that early pit stop here in race number 1.
Great section there that they're coming through as well, called last corner here on the service. It's a really tricky corner to get right with that really late apex, and of course seen a few of our drivers there in practice and not so much in qualifying, but practicing that pit entry as well. It comes down to almost like a little goat track down the side of the course there, so you actually need to wash off a fair bit of speed, but you'd actually be surprised how many of these people are making up times on that pit lane entry. I think we've seen a few people, not so much tonight, but in previous races there, accidentally think that the control line is before the corner. So it's actually, you can see those yellow cones just as they enter pit lane.
Yes, I was just noticing at the end of lap 1, a couple of drivers jumping on the pit limiter. There's such as the fact that these cars these days do have a pit limiter to help the car maintain the pit speed limit. Jumping on it a little bit earlier because there are speed limit signs just after you've come around the final corner inside the lane, but the actual cones denoting the start of the limiter section a bit further up the track as we have a look here. Ben Ferguson out on track after that pit stop is fighting with Roderick Hollis, and then just as I catch that three-way fight for position number 13, and contact at the end of the back straight. That's McCulloch and Harrison have come together there, in fact come to a complete stop on the track. Probably, to be honest, not what I would suggest in that circumstance, but looks like they're getting away here. Let's just jump to a virtual racing score replay, Nick, and have a look at this one again.
Yeah, we're all seeing them all in pretty close succession. It almost looks like Ray Harrison very well might have outbraked himself, because you can see how much of a gap there by that 100 mark, but I think he was ever so slightly distracted there and has absolutely outbraked himself. Very unfortunate for the car in front. Are managing to roll away though, so potentially that damage might not be as bad as what it seemed.
Yeah, Wade McCulloch there, the car unfortunately caught up in that one. And yes, he's currently still out on track and continuing to lap away, so hopefully, yes, that means the damage is not too bad for his car, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see on that. As there's more cars down the pit lane, we've got Jamie Budd, followed by Tony Vesselis, as they come into the pits. They're now 16th and 17th as drivers file on past. Okay, so that's Jamie Budd actually serving a drive-through penalty for earlier incident in the race there. So that means he is down the lane once, but still going to have to serve 2 pit stops here, Nick. So that's definitely not what he wanted to get this night underway.
Yeah, absolutely. You can actually tell too, a bit of an Okayama thing to note about the track as well, how that the actual pit exit as well actually kind of almost drops you on the inside of that first corner. So did see how close some people can get coming out of those out of that pit exit. So it is something that you do need to be mindful of. Just having a look there, Egmond and McKenzie. I think that is Neil McKenzie. Seeing a few battles all the way through there. Some amazing paints here. I think that is a Simworks paint there as they come through. Sorry, downshift. Always seem to get the downshift cars mixed up. I remember they had our final race, MX5 race of the season last year. we had our teams race, and yeah, downshift will definitely a force to be reckoned with. Caused quite a lot of carnage all around the track. I think they had 3 cars entered, so downshift always having a big representation here in the Roadster Rumble.
Meanwhile, just looking further down the field, we've got Luke Klaber into the pits and another virtual racing school replay to have a look at here. So let's see what we've got as it looks. We're coming back to lap 1, I believe, and here is why Jamie Budd picked up that drive-through penalty that we were just reporting on. So tagging one of the downshift MX-5s there. I believe that might have, well, unfortunately, I don't think I caught the the 77 of Tony Veslowis. There you go, just been advised. So there's the explanation for the drive-through and why that happened there. So here's Jamie out on track now. Still trying to, well, currently riding in 16th. He's got Brandon McMillan behind on track. Brandon currently net third of cars that have taken a pit stop in this race. So that gives you a bit of an idea of where things are at for those who have pitted versus those who have not. Leading driver is Anthony Connors up in 14th. But let's go further up the field here. We've got Brendan Walton and Shane Seddon fighting over position number 8. And if I'm not mistaken, there may have just been a move done there as I was paying attention to this one. So, yes, indeed, that was Walton getting the position off Seddon there at the end of the back straight. So, nicely done. And also starting to bring Graham Ellis into that battle pack to make it 3 cars fighting over 8th.
Yeah, you'd have to say that is possibly Bard Robkin. Just a little bit of drift of these 3 as well. Also noting in the penalties as well, so Ray Harrison also getting a black flag as well. So seeing race control very quick on these guys, catching it and getting those penalties served as soon as they can. So quite efficient there between everyone. Just saw Terry Knowles there, and Darren Minus is doing well there in 7th place. Doing really well there, Neil McKenzie in that 2nd place there. I think he's about a second or so adrift there of Matt Van Egmond. So potentially if he can get that gap down to around half a second, he'd be almost within that striking distance.
I can tell you it's half a second, the gap between Van Egmond and McKenzie off the exit of Atwood Corner, due to the fact that these cars, obviously not the fastest cars in the service. Half a second is quite deceptive in terms of actual distance on track. And then Chad Lewis in 3rd place, less than a second behind Van Egmond in 1st. Under brakes, they all compress heavily. That's Lewis very hard on the brakes and almost into the back end of McKenzie for 2nd. Thankfully able to pull that one up and no contact and damage done. So the racing's starting to heat up here for the front 3 as we enter the 2nd half of this first race tonight. Looks like these 3, no intention of making a pit stop anytime soon for the time being, which means that we have the top 12 cars yet to take a pit stop, and then with the exception of Ray Harrison, who has come down the lane for his drive-through penalty now, I believe, along with Jamie Budd, who's actually also in the pits and having taken a pit stop. We've now almost split half and half here, Nick, in terms of who's pitted and who has chosen to stay out here in this first race. Yeah,
absolutely. We are seeing our top 10 all the way down to, I think that is Shane, down to 11 there, but Brendan Moulton there and Shane Seddon in 10th and 11th. So Brendan Moulton there in that hot seat there at the moment for a reverse grid. So he'll be, quite a few of these guys are going to be all dicing it out, trying to get that reverse grid spot. We've just seen a MX-5 there.
It's Jamie Budd just after coming in for the first pit stop of the race. Possibly a little bit of smoke out of the back end of that car. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if there's anything there in particular. Or just, oh dear. Cold tyres for Jamie Budd in the number 180. Coming through turn number 2 on his 6th lap. And the car's just gotten away from him through the mid-corner as he's put the power down. So definitely not what he wanted after a drive-through penalty and the pit stop on this first race. He's now a lap down on the race leaders as they have headed down the back straight and cleared him. But eyes on track once again, because the fight for position 8 is on once again. We've got Shane Seddon looking to the inside of Brenton Moulton down the front straight. Graham Ellis, P10, is right behind them, so this could shuffle things if something does go wrong, but all fair and clean. And in fact, Brendan Moulton there on the outside under brakes, able to get ahead of Seddon. So good driving from all these guys here, and clean, respectful racing up front.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just see how tight it is there. We've got a few cars there, only a drifter there, so we're just trying to stay inside that top 10 at the moment. Oh, it's almost that big S bend here. Redman and Hobbs is such a wide corner there. You can kind of really choose your line as you come through. We see quite a lot of people try and use that momentum and play all the way around the outside, whereas a lot of people try and keep it really tight. So you see quite a lot of those MX-5s try and show a nose, and then coming onto that straight, really got to try and get that momentum through there. And it's not that overly long straight there. You can get a bit of a draft here, but big late break there from Brendan Moulton. Great defending.
Yeah, Shane Seddon behind, starting to really show the nose in just about each and every corner. And that second half of that lap and there into turn number 1, just pressuring Walton perhaps into overdriving through the corner exit and compromising the run in a straight line. So have to keep an eye on it here down the back straight there. Linus, that's Walton way too deep into outward curve. He's going to keep it on track, but that's going to be a pretty easy pass on the corner exit here for Seddon. Might be side by side for a fair bit of time down the straightaway here, because the extra bit of track width that Walton's used here has actually allowed him to claw back the speed difference, and they're going to be side by side, never mind part of the straight, make it all the way down the straight under brakes here into the hairpin at turn 5. Walton again later on the brakes, he's able to actually pull across in front as Seddon. It's aggressive for sure, but it's working in his favour at the moment here, Nick, and thankfully all's going well and hopefully on track to end well for the time being between these two.
Yeah, what a move there by Brendan Moulton, absolutely parking it right in front of Shane Seddon there.
Once again, just as we're saying that, too late once again, just not getting the nose of that car to turn in and hit the apex like he wants, particularly there at Redmond Corner. It's definitely making some drama. Meanwhile, we're watching this fight up front. We've got Neil McKenzie coming to the pit lane out of position number 2. Chad Lewis follows him in, I believe, from position number 4 last time round. So that means releases Van Egmond in the race lead to continue on with no pressure. But let's get back to this battle pack, folks, because it is still on. In fact, we've now got Graham Ellis challenging for that position off Shane Seddon here to turn 1, but contact front to rear between Walton and Seddon. Both cars go deep into turn 1. We've now got, oh goodness me, Graham Ellis looking for the inside, now outside at turn 2, but gonna have to tuck back into line here, and for good measure, the 4th car in this pack is actually Henry Fenson, who's a lap down on these guys, so got to be careful that Henry doesn't get tripped up trying to just mind his own business here while these 3 are racing position. They're now fighting over 6th, thanks to the 2 cars in McKenzie, and, well, in fact, McKenzie's come back out in position number 10, but where has Chad Lewis doing the pit lane? That's not right. It must be indeed, yes. The pit stop time there, 52.6 seconds for Chad Lewis. Oh, that's going to hurt there. Definitely not what he wanted. Did his 2 tyres, and just having a quick look at his pit entry here. Everything checks out, so... Oh, I can see it. He slowed down for the pit limiter line, and he's oversped once he made it past it. Possibly forgetting the pit limiter, but let's ignore that because we need to get back to this fight here for position goodness me, it is still going on here, Nick. I'll let you take care of this for a second, I think.
Just seen Brenton Moulton's actually slipped behind that lap car there, so he's got John Thorne in just behind him as well, so you'd have to say there for car 76, Henry Fenson potentially trying to get around Henry and then back onto it, because noting this is going to be the white flag coming around. Graham Ellis there, just a little bit of drift there of Graham Ellis is behind I think Terry Knox and Darren Linus, so absolutely fanning out here. Brendan Moulton though has managed to pull some of these guys back in.
So Shane Seddon up in front, currently running in 6th position, and now with that breather, thanks to the lap car for good measure of Harry Fenson in between them. But never mind that, it's Graham Ellis, Brendan Moulton side by side through turn number 2. Walton seems to have the better measure of these guys on the brakes, but at the same time, he's definitely braking a bit too late in a few occasions, and that's definitely hurting him in a few corners. You can see it deep under brakes into outward curve, but Ellis behind immediately goes to the tight run through the corner exit. Going to have a repeat here as we head down the front straightaway, down the back straight, side by side. And there's John Thorne, 9th position on track behind these 2. ready and waiting if something goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see how much that inside line there works out for Graham Ellis. Oh, coming into the hairpin, he does choose to pull out of it there, and potentially just up the road there as well. I think that is going to be Shane Seddon there under a fair bit of pressure from the car in behind. So
Yes, but the car behind Seddon is Henry Fenton, our lapped driver amongst the pack. But looks like those guys will be all right for now. Let's bring our eyes back up front. Started from the pole and has been able to lead fairly comfortably. It's going to be Matt Van Egmond to take the checkered flag in race number 1 of the 3 races tonight. Eric Fenton is going to come across the line in second. Battle pack here for 3rd place. Unfortunately, we were missing it. Terry Knowles leads Darren Linus, leads Callan Hodgkinson. They're going to stay line of stone here across the line and finish in that order. Meanwhile, back to the battle pack we've been watching all race long. Bad exit for Seddon off the final corner, but that's the lap car of Henry Fenton going to pass him, so no dramas there. Brendan Walton is going to finish there in 7th place. Graham Ellis in 8th. John Thorne 9th, leaving Neil McKenzie having started 2nd, but taking one of his 2 pit stops to get 10th and race 2 pole here, Nick.
yeah, great damage limitation there by... great strategy, there by Neil McKenzie. He'll be able to stay near the front, hopefully for the rest of this round there as well. We're just on board here. Dylan Canto looking back there. Does look like the KP Tech car there of Philip Paradiso, so we did see Dylan Canto have a pretty big accident a little bit earlier on there. Philip Paradiso there with quite a lot of damage to the front of that KP Tech MX-5 as well. Dylan just edging him out there. Great line between those two.
But a change of position on that lap between those 2 cars. So Canto taking home 20th and Paradiso for 21st. And the last couple of cars coming across the line now. So we'll quickly have a look at the race results before we get into the second one tonight. As I said there, Matt Van Egmond starting from pole and able to control that race to the flag. 4.6 seconds ahead of Eric Fenton in 2nd position, followed by Terry Knowles in 3rd, leading Darren Linus and Callan Hodgkinson across the line for the top 5. Then Shane Seddon, Brendan Walton, Graham Ellis, John Thorne, and once again Neil McKenzie 10th place, but crucially, race 2 pole here thanks to an inverted top 10, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd have to feel for Anthony Connors just missing out there in 11th place there. Luke Claver in behind him there, Wade McCulloch, Brandon McMillan, Dave Gogol, Bard Rodkin there, Ben Ferguson, Roderick Hollis, Ray Harrison there, and we did see there Dylan Canto taking out that 20th position.
Just over the page, Philip Paradiso 21st, Chad Lewis 22nd, Jesse White Carrick 23rd, Tony Vesselis 24th, Brinley Eastwood 25th, Shane Nowens 26th in the last car on the lead lap, and then Jamie Budd 27th, Peter Gretton 28th, and then Henry Fenton 29th, and Jamie Willits there looking like an early retirement in 30th. And then our 3 admins at the back of the field there. Cars mostly on the grid now for race number 2, so straight back into it once again. Another 10 laps. 1 or 2 pit stops for these guys still remaining. Let's see how many cars we get down the lane this time here, Nick, as the revs come up for race number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Here they are revving up. That flag is going to go green.
And there we are. Cars underway for race number 2 here in the AM division of the Simworks Roads to Runda at Okayama. Slow start there up front for one of the cars. Have to try and get an eye on Walton up front there after that battle pack he was in earlier. Oh, side by side and a bit of panel rubbing for Eric Fenton, and that was Shane Seddon out on the very edge. Track at turn 1. These guys a little bit scrappier here at the start of race 2. A little bit more to play for, and it's, oh goodness me, Paradiso, losing control there through the exit of turn 2, and John Thorne around on the exit of turn 2 and straight back to the pits there. More dramas through the S's on the way to Outward Curve. I see 3, 4, 5 cars spinning or in the grass. It's getting busy, and cars off through Atwood as well. Goodness me, Nick, I'm starting to have a hard time keeping up with all this.
Yeah, that was a very fast part of the circuit there. Did see a couple of retirements there as well, so we might have to revisit that a little bit later on. We have seen it's actually kind of broken the field up a little bit there from car 66 or so all the way down the back there. So we actually saw that big accident there in the middle. It's actually broken up the field ever so slightly. Trying to see a few of our drivers there. Car 77, Tony Vesselis, we did see have an accident in that first round there. He's definitely one to watch there. He's quite fast. Oh, as we just see, I think that was Henry Fenson there. Unfortunately, that rear end getting away from him.
Meanwhile, Matt Van Egmond started 10th place in this race, and he is not hanging around. He's already up to 6th here on lap number 1, as immediately behind, that's Brendan Walton, followed by Eric Fenson, both into the pit lane here to serve a pit stop in this race. So we'll see here now as they come into the pits. Oh, goodness me, Walton, pretty slow there. And in fact, as I was just mentioned earlier during race number 1, getting on the pit limiter well before the iRacing cones and almost catching out Fenson directly behind there. Thankfully, Fenson there not going fast enough to cause a front-to-rear collision there as we head to a virtual racing school replay, Nick.
We are going to revisit that Essen coming through there. So it was John Thorne there, in second place there, that rear end just getting away from him. Very, very lucky there not to get bounced back onto the track there, but unfortunately I think that was car 2 of Terry Knowles there. So Terry Knowles being almost a passenger there, getting collected by quite a few fast cars there. Many of our MX-5s taking evasive action, so he'll be getting a tow back to the pits there and starting from, well, more or less a lap down now, so he's in for a pretty hard second race here as well. Did see a few cars there managed to push their way through. Philip Paradiso there, I think started 21st there, so he's up in a 10th place there at the moment. Car 50 as well. Bard Rodkin there in a good position in that 7th place.
Meanwhile, whilst we've been watching this coverage on track here, folks, on the exit of turn 2, Brendan Walton, just having made his pit stop at the end of lap 1, I found him in the fence and off track there, so possibly cold tyres catching out another car through the Williams corner and just losing control of the rear end potentially. Hopefully we can get a virtual racing school replay of that one, Jay, just as Nick was talking about that one there. Unfortunately, that puts him now a long way down the field. Pit stop done for the race, yes, but well out of position compared to those around him who are out on track or otherwise have already taken a pit stop. So here is that virtual racing school replay I was hoping we would get. As you can see here, comes through turn 1 having just made the pit stop and leaning hard through turn number 2 on his car. And yeah, there goes the rear end. Unfortunately, tyres not able to give him what he wants. And in fact, actually he's able to catch it for a moment, but snaps back the other way. And that was him into the fence. Meanwhile, up front, still in Canso, Philip Paradiso and Jamie Budd coming in from 10th, 11th and 12th now on track to take their pit stop for the race. Canso away now, just under 14 seconds in the box. Meanwhile, looking out on track here at the 777, Jesse White-Carrick currently in 17th place and looking to fight with Dave Gogol. In fact, much better run for Carrick there out of the final corner. Going to sweep around the outside of Gogol, and Gogol actually gets off the throttle early and tucks in behind. So not making that too difficult there for Carrick. Actually good heads-up racing here, given it is lap number 3 for these guys. And no need to fight too hard just yet, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jesse White-Carrick definitely one to watch here in this AM class. Did see him qualify up around that top 10 position there, but I think just a bit unfortunate with some of those incidents there in race 1. It's put him a little bit further down, but seen him already shoot up through the field here at the moment. Car 77, Tony Vesselis there and Bard Rodkin there. Almost a bit of a Christmas theme. There, the Big Cape got all the season sponsors here for tonight, as well as I think that is car 76 there of Henry Fenson. So Henry having an absolute blinder of a second race. We did see him that lap down there in race 1.
Indeed, and after the race 1 win and a strong start to race number 2, here comes Matt Van Egmond for his first pit stop of the night, meaning of course he'll have one more pit stop to do in race number 3 here. So we'll have to see how far back down the field he goes. Already in 8th place, and in fact behind him Shane Nowens has come into the lane just now. So keep our eyes on where Van Egmond filters back out again. Looks like he might be able to slot into about 10th place. In fact, may even hold on to 8th here as we have Eric Fenson coming down the front stretch. But meanwhile, just a bit further behind, Jesse White-Carrick got some good speed through that final sector. He's now on the back of Darren Linus down the front straightaway. Just looking to see if there's a move here from Carrick. Yep, pulls to the inside and underbrakes into turn 1. Nicely done there. Textbook move. Darren Linus doesn't fight that one too hard. So next up for Carrick is going to be Roderick Hollis for 11th position here, Nick, as he continues to march forward, having also done a pit stop in this race. So currently running in net, I believe that is 5th as well, for good measure.
Yeah, and he's also the fastest car on track there at the moment as well. So 1:44.7, his fastest lap here in this race. So actually even faster than Neil McKenzie there at the front. So he's definitely absolutely steamrolling through that field here at the moment. So you might be able to see him pick off a few other cars there. You can actually see a bit of a gap opening up ahead there. So between I think Dylan Canto there, and it's just on the back there of Roderick Hollis there. So we'll have to see if he can maintain that pace. He will be able to get a few more positions.
Yeah, so we'll have to see it. Looks like Linus has gone for a good pace through the mid-sector of the circuit. Meanwhile, back up towards the front of the field, Callan Hodgkinson has come down the lane in race number 2 here, so getting another pit stop done. Unfortunately, I don't recall if he took one of his stops in race 1, so might have to try and get a read on it. Meanwhile, our effective race leader is actually Eric Fenson. Matt Van Egmond directly behind, though, looking to pressure Fenson down the front straightaway, and good speed out of the pits. But meanwhile, we're being told Hodgkinson has made its pit error here. 26 seconds in the box. That's 4 tyres all around the car. Not what Hodgkinson was planning. That sent him all the way back down the field. But eyes forward, Fenson defending from Van Egmond through turn number 2. Van Egmond is caught on the outside through Williams' corner, but not quite able to make it stick here. So Fenson able to come across, but doesn't defend in here into outward curve, Nick. I think we're going to have another chance here for the move. Yes, indeed, but side-by-side potential is definitely strong if Fenson can get a decent drive off the corner. Meanwhile, up front, Neil McKenzie is currently on his own, but just as we were keeping an eye on this battle here between Van Egmond and Fenson, there are a couple of cars that McKenzie is now about to put a lap down, tangling and almost getting in the way of him here, Nick.
Gee, I have to say there, Matt Van Egmond, I can't even get it out there, holding that tighter line there through that bottom hairpin, has still managed to pull it off there. So it seems to be such a overtaking move there through that Atwood curve. If you can hold it through there on the inside, you can carry that all the way down to hairpin corner as well.
Just looking here, just what I was talking about earlier on. So this is the painted white line and speed board that iRacing have scanned into the Okayama circuit, but that's not where our pit lane begins. As with all iRacing circuits, the pit speed limiter must be turned on and the speed limit observed here at these yellow cones. So this is what we were talking about here when we had, on lap 1, I believe it was, goodness me, apologies, I've completely forgotten the name of the driver. It was, I've actually completely forgotten. So I'll have to...
I think it was Brendan Moulton, but I'd have to say that was our SimSpeed Pigeon Cam viewing. We've actually got a car there coming onto the straight. We might have to see if we can cut to that. Does look like that might have been Dylan Canto potentially, and he actually did end up escaping and taking that toe back to the pits there. Haven't seen too many people have an accident in that spot. It's quite a flowing corner there. We might be able to actually catch the replay.
Coming down through Atwood curve out of turn 4, unless we're...
He was actually...
scratching your heads. All right.
Slightly too far back.
All right. Well, we'll get this one back for us, folks, once we've located the position on there. So yes, unfortunately, Canto back in the pit lane, but the fight is on. Van Egmond has been passed back by Eric Fenson down the back straightaway, side by side through the hairpin at the end of the straight for turn 5, and it gives Fenson the inside here for turn 6. Can Van Egmond stick it around the outside or even go for the over-under into turn 7? The answer is no. Fenson gets the position back and retakes the lead of the drivers who have taken a pit stop in this race. So Van Egmond has definitely had the speed in race 1 and was looking pretty quick at the start of race 2, but definitely got company for speed. Meanwhile, further back behind, we've got a battle. 16th on backwards. We're looking at least 4 cars here, folks. Make that 5. Make that 5. We'll go with that there. It's Brendan Moulton leading Jamie Budd. Brandon McMillan, who's just been shot past by Wade McCulloch, off into the gravel and spins it on the exit of turn number 8. Oh, so from 5 we go back to 4 just as I'm talking about it. But the battle continues. Fenton and Van Emmen refuse to give up side-by-side racing. And in the meantime, we've got a 5-car pack for the position number 9. There's battle packs up and down the field. It's great to watch, Nick, but it means I'm having a very hard time keeping up with where I should be keeping my eyes.
Yeah, you'd have to say there, Eric Fenton and Matt Van Egmond, they're really kind of catching on to each other before we did see. Oh, I don't think you get much more than maybe an A4 piece of paper in between those two. We have seen Eric Fenton might have clued on a little bit. We did see Matt Van Egmond there. He continually takes that inside line here down the straight. He's actually going to catch Eric Fenton there by surprise by actually switching to that outside line. So these two, every lap we've seen side by side as they come through that hairpin there. Gee, Matt Van Egmond there going possibly a little bit wider there. Oh, it's actually backed out of that there. He was almost going to clean take out Eric Fenton there. So you'd have to say they're great defensive driving there of actually aborting that. Not so much there in the background. I think that is
Roderick Hollis in the 177 around, and now in the fence. Oh, backing out of the track. Goodness me. Callan Hodgkinson, after his pit stop error, almost collected by Hollis after his accident. And Hollis on the radio immediately to race control. So hopefully we can get a look at a virtual racing school replay for that one, folks, because clearly something more to that one. But meanwhile, live pictures continue here as we're looking at the battle for position number 9. Dave Gogol leading Darren Linus and Ben Ferguson. These three guys have also then got Jesse White-Carrick, who has been continuing his push up the field and looking to hunt these guys down and catch them with just 3 laps to go here, Nick.
You have to say there, Ben Ferguson, the fastest of this group there at the moment with a 146.1 against Dave Gogol and Darren Linus there. We're around that more 146 in a mid there, but I think we are cutting here to a VRS replay here. There you can see. Oh,
it's Jesse White-Carrick a little too close to the rear end of Hollis through turn number 7 on that last lap there, and well,
I have to say there for sorry there, Dan. I cut you off. I have to say there for Jesse, always seems to find the carnage, or the carnage seems to find him.
Speaking of carnage, race control immediately on that with a black flag penalty in session for Jesse. So unfortunately, that's going to curtail his race. But meanwhile, whilst we've been having to, well, not having to, but very much we've got plenty to talk about, Eric Fenton and Matt Van Egmond are going at it once again. I believe this is 3 straight laps side by side down the back straight. And at the same time, whilst this is still going on, Neil McKenzie has brought his car in from the lead of the race to take his first pit stop. Correction, this is McKenzie's second pit stop of the night. He's clearing his mandatory stops with 1 race to go here, Nick. Oh no! Just as we're talking about the fight, it's gone horribly wrong.
Oh, and that was a pretty on-the-nose rejoin there as well. Very lucky for Ben Ferguson, you have to say there for Ben. Definitely with the pace tonight, but just seems to have all that bad luck there. So had to jump pretty hard there on brakes there, not to take out, and came to a complete stop there. We are going to cut to a VRS replay and see what had happened there between Eric Fenton there.
Oh no, that's Van Egmond cutting across the nose of Fenton into between the 2 hairpins at turns 8 and 9. To be honest, very aggressive move from Van Egmond. Probably didn't have the right to cut across fully there, as I think Fenton just had enough overlap to be able to own the inside line. And as a result, it puts Van Egmond now back in 8th position. In fact, incredibly, only loses the 1 spot to Dave Gogol, because the rest of the battle pack that Gogol was fending off is now caught behind Matt Van Egmond. And it means we've now got ourselves a train from 8th back to about 13th place here, more or less here, Nick.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see there. I dare say Matt Van Egmond potentially will get black flagged for that. We'll have to see what happens with race control on there as well. But we are sitting here with Callan Hodgkinson there at the moment. They're behind Ben Ferguson. So big train of cars here at the moment. This is 9 of 10 laps there, so we are going to come onto a white flag here.
Speaking of that white flag, Luke Claver is now our race leader and has just taken said white flag. Currently going through turn number 2 with a little bit of lap traffic to fend off, but over 6 seconds of time to Henry Fenson, who currently runs in second place. So looks like it's all going to be pretty comfy here for Claver and Fenson. And Bard Rodkin is our third and final driver to take a pit stop, well, yet to take a pit stop in this race. Looks like they'll be our podium for race number 2, but our eyes need to stay further back down the field here as we've got this battle pack still continuing. Van Egmond in 8th, Darren Linus in 9th, just starting to pull away from Brindley Eastwood, who holds the 10th position, and then has the train of Anthony Connors, Callan Hodgkinson, and Ben Ferguson directly behind them, for 4 cars fighting over 10th here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd have to say great work there by Ben Ferguson, especially everything that's been thrown at him there to stay in around that top 10 position there as well. I think he might have just slipped down a couple of spots there in around 13th. Oh, as we just see Luke Claver there taking all the curb and then some as well. So Luke doing absolutely stellar effort there.
Yeah,
taking that first position.
Claver pushing his car all the way to the line here as he navigates the final couple of corners in race number 2 here tonight. And a little bit of lap traffic for good measure, but 1 corner to go. Should be fairly straightforward, and indeed it is. Up over the apex curve there. And all home and dry here for Luke Claver. He's going to come home and take the checkered flag, but we'll have at least 1 pit stop. Well, we'll have to take a pit stop in race number 3, so I have to see what he can make of it. But it's a race win all the same for Luke Claver, with Henry Fenson across the line in second place. And it's going to be Bard Rodkin to round out our podium in race number 2 here, Nick.
Yeah, there we go. We are going to see Neil McKenzie a little bit further back there, but great work getting that downshift car, as well as his downshift teammate there of Tony Vessels. How great is that paint there, by the way, with the big chrome logo there?
Oh, racing is... Ben Ferguson has been sitting at the back of that pack, as you've been saying, Nick, for the past couple of laps, looking to get past Brindley Eastwood, who's had to, has been passed by both Anthony Connors and Callan Hodgkinson and lost 10th place in the process. Down the front straight for the final time for this group of cars. I think it's going to be Connors going to hold off Hodgkinson, but not by much. The toe is worth a little bit, but not enough this time round for Hodgkinson to get the job done, as our last couple of cars make their way down the front straightaway. And it's Brendan Walton here with Shane Newlands behind. Brandon McMillan directly ahead is going to grab 15th there and leaves just 4 cars left. Peter Gretton, Wade McCulloch, Jesse White Carrick down the pit lane here on the final lap of the race. I don't see why though, so I'd be curious to understand what's happened with that one there, as he takes a checkered flag in pit lane here. But we'll go through the results of race number 2 here real quick, Nick. So it's Luke Claver with the race win. Henry Fenson in second place, with Bard Rodkin once again third. Neil McKenzie, 2 pit stops complete and 2 top 10 finishes. He's looking on for a good finish, I do believe, and quite possibly prime position for race 3 win here tonight. But we're yet to see, I suppose. Tony Vesselis, P5, followed by Eric Fenson after that scrap with Matt Van Egmond. Fenson able to escape out the other side there and not lose too much. Speaking of which, in between them, Dave Gergol in 7th, Van Egmond once again 8th place, Darren Linus 9th, and it's going to be Anthony Connors rounding out the 10th position in this race here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely there. Callan Hodgkinson there in 11th place there. Brindley Eastwood, Ben Ferguson we saw quite a lot of there. Roderick Hollis, Brandon McMillan there, Brendan Walton, we saw really getting those elbows out there. Shane Newlands, Jamie Budd there in 18th, Peter Gretton there in 19th, and Wade McCulloch rounding out our top 20.
And once again, over the page, Philip Paradiso coming home in 21st, followed by Terry Knowles 22nd, John Thorne 23rd, and Jesse White Carrick. Definitely not the race he was looking for, and our last driver on the lead lap in 24th. Followed by Graham Ellis, Ray Harrison, Shane Seddon, and Chad Lewis, all finishing 1 lap down, positions 25 through 28. Rounded out by Jamie Willits and Dean Canto, our last 2 drivers in 29th and 30th place. Well, it got busy there in race number 2, Nick. I do believe that would imply that things are going to get even busier in race number 3. We definitely know there are drivers yet to take their 2 pit stops. So the pit strategy is still very much alive, but there are going to be drivers now with pit stops all done looking to push forward and secure themselves a strong result here to round out their racing tonight.
absolutely. But you'd have to say the likes of Neil McKenzie there, getting his stops there out the way early, absolutely making that strategy work there as well. So it is a newer format than what we've seen in some of the previous seasons. So it takes a little bit of time getting used to and trying to find what kind of system works good. We did see a few of those little mistakes as well, with a few cars taking 4 tyres, and as well as we've seen so many cars make that mistake there with those pit lanes limited their control lines.
Yeah, thankfully not seeing any issues with cars coming in and getting on the limiter too early and tripping up cars behind, but it's certainly something that drivers aren't necessarily, hoping for, because it does mean they are sacrificing a little bit of speed on the pit entry there, and every second in a car class like MX-5, which is all about momentum, is going to be crucial. So making sure you know those basic things about when you need to get on the on the pit limit, I should say, is going to be important here for those who are yet to make their 2 stops tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see a few cars there with a little bit of redemption as well. We'll expect to see the likes there of Jesse White-Carrig. He'll be pushing through the field there as we've seen so much there. You really don't want to be in that midfield. If you can try and get around that, even that top 10 position there, and try and keep your nose clean on that first lap, it can go such a long way.
Indeed. So just here with a warm-up session wrapping up for us now as a mini breather before we get into the final race of the evening here. We'll jump to the grid in just a moment's time, folks, because I think we'll need to run through this one as quickly as we can. I believe we'll have about a minute or so to get through this. So just waiting here for the session to tick over. So yes, indeed, we'll have to we'll be on the speed run here for the grid as they get onto their positions. It's Luke Claver getting onto the pole here for race number 3. Henry Fenson in 2nd, Bard Rodkin 3rd, Neil McKenzie 4th, Tony Vesselis in 5th, followed by Eric Fenson in 6th as we head over the page. And Dave Gogol 7th, Matt Van Egmond in 8th, Darren Linus 9th, Anthony Connors 10th, Callan Hodgkinson 11th, Brinley Eastwood rounding out the 6th row as we head over the page once again into 13th. Ben Ferguson, Roderick Hollis 14th, Brandon McMillan 15th, Brendan Walton 16th, Shane Newen 17th, Jamie Budd in 18th as we get about 2/3 through. Peter Gretton 19th and Wade McCulloch 20th, Philip Paradiso 21st, Terry Knowles 22nd, John Thorne 23rd, Jesse White-Carrig 24th, hoping to recover in this one here. Graham Ellis 25th, Ray Harrison 26th, Shane Seddon 27th, Chad Lewis 28th, Jamie Willits 29th, Dylan Canto 30th, and I believe that's just in time for these guys to get racing for number 3 here.
Yeah, absolutely. There we are seeing there Luke Claver getting a really clean start there. Neil McKenzie is going to have, I think their Bard Rodkin's going to be on his outside, but he's going to be able to make it through.
So full way down to turn number 1, but we've already got trouble. Shane Newen's has spun on the inside of turn 1. It's taken another car with him. The 89 of Wade McCulloch is hit. And I believe that was possibly Jamie Budd in the 180 being the hitter. And Shane Sett on the outside of turn 1 has also been caught up in all of this as the field sweeps down through the S's to Atwood Curve for the first time. Meanwhile, whilst I was running through the grid there, folks, Matt Van Egmond, our race 1 winner, was given a black flag from race control for the incident we saw with one of the Feltons in race number 2. Unfortunately, it wasn't Henry, since Henry was up and seen as Eric Fenson there, in race number 2 there towards the end of that one.
Yeah, and absolutely, those two have found each other again on the grid there, side by side. We actually saw, I think that is Tony Vesselis, that is the meat in the sandwich between those two. So we're not going to see him battle throughout there, with Matt needing to take that penalty there as well. So,
speaking of which, that's Van Egmond around into Neil McKenzie. McKenzie thankfully keeps the car straight, losing just momentum in a couple of spots. But Van Egmond, black flag penalty, and now spun on the exit of turn 7. Another car caught up in that there downshift sim racing car. It looks like Graham Ellis, a separate incident. Speaking of which though, Henry Fenson out of position number 2 and dropping down the order fast here as the field goes by. Goodness me, it's getting busy. And speaking of those pit stops we needed to keep an eye on, car number 50 down onto the lane there. And if I could find them, I would tell you it's Bard Rodkin coming from the front of the field and onto the lane here for his second stop of the night here, Nick. Oh boy.
Yeah, Bard Rodkin there. I think that was Darren Linus in behind him as well. As we're just catching, I think that is Ben Ferguson in between those two. So, and he has tagged into Callan Hodgkinson. So, otherwise, we just saw another car go off as well. Yeah, it's one thing. One thing to note, we do have hard racing, but you've got to be so careful on those rejoins. We've probably seen you'd have to say a few questionable ones tonight there, and race control do look heavy-handed on those rejoins.
That's indeed right. So Bard Rodkin is now the first of our cars out on track, having completed his second pit stop of the night. Van Egmond comes out behind, but only serving that drive-through penalty from race 2. He will have to come down the pits once again here, and that is going to be a bit of a sour end, I would reckon, to his night. Other cars into the pit lane on lap number 1 here: Brendan Walton, Darren Linus, Wade McCulloch, John Thorne, Graham Ellis. Currently, Brindley Eastwood still in the box, so possibly a tow there from Eastwood, because they're still sitting there after 30 seconds. And Shane Newen's the last one heading out of the pit lane now. So getting ourselves a virtual racing school replay of the run into turn 1. As you can see, 2, 3 wide, even 4 wide there, as we're focusing here on Jamie Blood on the inside there, the black and white number 180, and just unfortunately the car there on the outside, the number 56 of Shane Newen's, just chopping down ever so slightly perhaps. And then as those two guys rebound, it doesn't actually collect their purple car, but the 71 force wide, and there it is, the car on the inside. If I remember correct, unfortunately I've lost track of that number there on the inside, and then you can see on the outside it caused even more further issues. As meanwhile we come back to live pictures, Eric Fenson coming down the lane for another one of their pit stops. Meanwhile, we've just had Brindley Eastwood take a very long pit service and is currently waiting on a pit exit there for some clear track. Smart thinking there, able to stay out of the way of the lead pack, as unfortunately Brindley is now 1 lap down here, Nick.
Yeah, we actually just saw a bit of Jamie Willits there, so you have to just cast our minds back there to race 1, blowing his engine almost on the start line. So he's done an absolutely stellar job there, almost putting it into the top 10 there. He's in 11th place here at the moment, so was showing a lot of promise there in qualifying. So he's really kind of almost in the background there, just chipping away at it and getting his way all the way up there. He's going to be under a lot of pressure though, coming into the hairpin. We are cutting to a VRS replay there. I think that is Eric Fenson, and just putting a tyre out there into that dent.
Yeah.
Matt Van Egmond there.
Yeah, running too wide through turn 6, gets himself in the gravel for the entry to turn 7, and just loses the rear end on possibly, cold tyres there perhaps for him, and having his race go from bad to worse. Meanwhile, up front, Luke Claver has been able to break away after starting from the front, which is certainly where he wants to be, but I'm not quite sure if Claver has a stop to make yet tonight. Given Neil McKenzie being up front as well, and also not needing to make any more stops, there's a good chance we missed Luke taking a pit stop in race 1 along with race 2. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one as the race laps tick on. We're already on lap number 4 of 10 for this final one. Tony Veselis just actually not too far off the back here, about a second behind McKenzie for second. So looks like at the moment, if we're going to have a fight up front, the fight is going to be over second. But in the meantime, we've got 2 groups of 3 lining up for battle for 4th and 7th. And if we're not, if we're lucky, these 2 groups might just become one super pack of about 6, 7, maybe even 8 cars, depending on how much compression we get here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually just looking there at Tony Veselis. I swear he almost started at the back of the grid there. Oh, gee. Ben Ferguson there going in super deep there. Tony Veselis started almost in very last position there, so you can see between these 3 races how much your fortunes can change in between then, and how much it goes to show just being able to chip away there on board here with Henry Fenson, seeing so much of that rear bar. They're going to go 3 wide. Ben Ferguson there being squeezed out of those 3 there. He's going to actually be up the inside to potentially take that spot back there. You can see Henry Fenson there defending hard. Still going to be side by side coming into that last complex of the track there. Ben Ferguson though, big sweeping hairpin there, has been able to manage to park it out in front.
Not the race that Henry Fenson was looking for. Having started second, he's now back in position number 9. And in fact, speaking of which, Fenson immediately pulls out of that fight and comes to complete his second pit stop. In fact, they're wide into the grass on pit entry. Oh, that will cost him a half a second or so, but pushing there to minimise the time loss, that might have come back to bite him. Speaking of hard charges, there are 2 cars inside the top 10 with, well, around 20 places gained. The first one of them is in this lead pack here. It's Jesse White-Carrig, currently 6th, but has come up from 24th position in just 4 laps here, Nick. And then looking just a little bit further back, it's our biggest mover of the field, Dylan Canto, 30th place start. This was the last car on the grid here for race number 3, is now inside the top 10 with P9 apparently his to claim. Although he's got pressure from behind, we've got Paradiso, Jamie Willits, and Chad Lewis behind him. But at the moment, those 3 guys are starting to scrap with each other and allowing Canto just to mind his business and nail his laps here and hopefully get himself a bit of a breather, Nick.
Yeah, you'd have to say these guys are so familiar with each other, as we've seen in some of our previous seasons there. Dylan Canto, we've seen previous there, running that very subtle matte black, almost like a rattle can paint there on his MX-5. He's actually done a good job there of pulling away from, I think, Jamie Willits there. Is the second car in behind, so Dylan Canto actually on a really big run there. He was actually almost a second faster than Jamie Willits on that last lap, so absolutely pushing here at the moment there. Paradiso also a little bit faster there than Chad Lewis, so potentially might be able to get a position in there. Bit of a galaxy paint there for Chad Lewis.
And meanwhile, I was talking about whether the leader, Luke Claver, had to pit a second time. The answer is yes. Here he is down the lane to get that final service complete, but unfortunately yielding the race lead to Neil McKenzie out in front. In the meantime, well, Dylan Canto still going to be the driver with the most positions gained in this race at 22 currently. Jamie Willits directly behind him is plus 20. But joining Jamie on plus 20 is now Jesse White-Carrig after a move, which has he got him past Roderick Hollis here. Looks like Roderick has slipped from the lead of this trio that was currently fighting over third thanks to the pit stop from Claver. He's now back in 5th, so not the best lap for Roderick last time around, it would seem. And now, great, and as you can see here, this strategy working out, drivers able to pick their way through the opening lap shenanigans, as we perhaps might call them for the time being, and establish themselves a solid finish position here in race number 3, Nick.
Yeah, we're just seeing Chad Lewis there. Great overtaking move there, nice and clean there, done there at Jamie Willits, so Jamie Willits will slide in behind there. Paradiso, just a little bit adrift to these two. He's about a second or so, which is definitely not close enough there to fight. Don't mind the tartan paint there of Jamie Willits. Absolutely, he's a big standout. You can kind of pick him from a mile away.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see he's gone. It's the FAF Motorsports paint job, which does belong on a Porsche 911 GT3R in IMSA competition, but you have to say has been very expertly remade and adapted to fit the MX-5 bodywork here, as you're just keeping an eye on Jamie here, just a little bit wide through that final corner. Thankfully, as we were saying it, not quite under pressure from Philip Paradiso, but the gaps between these guys at most about a second or so. In fact, 1.2 currently the gap between Willits and Paradiso as they head through turn number 1 here. So Willits can afford to focus forward for the next little while, but obviously a couple more mistakes like that just allows Philip to have a little bit of a sniff and a chance here at getting up onto his back. Meanwhile, it was a battle pack for third. The battle pack has caught second. Tony Veselis under pressure from both Anthony Collins and Jesse White-Carrig, with Roderick Hollis not far behind as they head down the back straight here, Nick, to the hairpin here on lap number 7. Who wins this one?
They're showing a nose there, and Jesse White-Carrig picking that inside line there as well. It's absolutely hung the other car out there to dry there, and it's almost brought our 3-car train there into 4 as well. So all 4 cars there. Tony Veselis there, the big loser in that, losing more or less those two positions. He'll be right on the back of these two, though.
Indeed, yep. That's from second back to fourth for Vesselis. Last lap around a 146.2 from Tony, and that compares to a 144.7 for Anthony Connors, a 144.8 for Jesse White-Carrick, and a 145.3 for Roderick Hollis. So Tony, definitely something, well, probably missed an apex of some description on that last lap, because you don't lose that kind of speed just by, well, you don't end up at the front of the field and be that far off the pace, even if you are racing in a series like this with mixed pit strategies. Under brakes here, that's Jesse White-Carrick, very close to the rear end of Anthony Connors, able to pull it up and not make contact though, and thankfully hasn't compromised him too much, but it keeps Vesselis right behind him. The three of these guys are just starting to drop Roderick Hollis, so we might have a new pack of three, and now they're fighting over second rather than third here, Nick, as they head down to Atwood Curve. 3 laps to go here.
Yeah, I'd have to say there for Roderick Hollis just to hang in there and try and maintain that gap, because these three are all going to be signing each other up. Perfect opportunity to jump in there if any mistakes are made, but you are right there. He is maybe struggling there with a little bit of a pace there through some of those technical sections there. He's actually made that ground there back up on that straight there as well. You can see Tony Vesselis deep under brakes there, closes that gap, almost takes out I think Jesse White-Carrick there as well. It's actually lost a whole heap of time there. It's actually put him in the hands there of Roderick Hollis. He's defending off that inside though.
Yes, indeed. From a pack of 3 down to 2 by 2 we go. Meanwhile, just behind, well, further back down the field, we've got Ray Harrison has just spun at turn number 2, but he's towed back to the pits. Let's stay with this fight here. Is it? Goodness me. Meanwhile, actually, we're looking just further back here. The fight for position number 9 is Chad Lewis has pulled to the inside there and just gotten ahead of Dylan Canto. So Dylan now down, well, now holding position 10, but these guys still going at it. We've now got 2 laps to go for these lead lap drivers as they come around the penultimate corner into the, well-named last corner, I suppose. Jamie Willetts there at the back of that train, wide again. He's pushing the car hard, but is that hurting? I think that might be hurting his run down the front straight here, Nick, so you better be careful of that one for the final 2 laps.
Jamie does not lift there. Chucks it on the grass there multiple times. You can actually see that tank slapping feedback there. Absolutely keeps that foot buried to the floor there, but you are right. Does lose a bit of momentum. Not a very long straight here at Okayama as well. On board here, Jesse White-Carrick. Absolutely stellar effort there, all the way from 24th position there. Well, we did see he did get that penalty there in race 2, all the way up into 3rd, right there on the back of Anthony Connors. These two have had plenty of battles here over the past few seasons, so they'll be quite familiar with each other.
Half laps to go as they go down the back straight. Jesse, though, opting to be patient this time by and not force the attack and the defence in return from Anthony ahead, looking to possibly try and just maintain the buffer to Tony Vesselis behind. But I think, just as you can see here, pulling out of the throttle there has just allowed Tony right back in and sort of leveled out the gaps between Jesse and Tony compared to Tony and Roderick Hollis directly behind him. Meanwhile, Brandon McMillan has joined the fight. So if you count from Anthony up in second, it is a 5-car group back to Brandon McMillan here in 6th place. And we've just got over 1 lap to go here to decide this one for the opening round here of the SimWorks Road to Rumble in the AM division.
Yeah, absolutely, and there will only be trophies there. Oh, you'd have to say trophies there for 2nd and 3rd there, so we'll see, I reckon, definitely Tony, Roderick and Brandon McMillan all pushing hard there. It'd be great to, great start to the season to get that podium position, especially in the last race as well. Seeing Jesse White-Carrick again deep under brakes there. He's about half a second back there from Anthony Connors. It's not going to be close enough there. Tony Vesselis, so about 3/10 off Jesse, so he is getting in pretty close there. Probably not so much through this bottom corner here at the moment, but it's actually going to be that back main straight is definitely where all the eyes are going to be. See how that that draft happens. Anthony Connors there getting a great pull away there from the rest of the field.
Yes, Jesse White-Carrick slow through the middle of turn 4 there. It's made himself very vulnerable to attack from both Tony Vesselis and Roderick Hollis. Jesse, middle of the track under brakes here, very deep, almost squirming there. I think just getting that car destabilized a bit much. It allows Tony to just think about getting alongside maybe, but not able to get far enough alongside and doesn't quite get the line he wants through turn 6. It allows Roderick Hollis to have a look at the back of Tony through turn 7. Meanwhile, there's drama at the front, at the front straight, I should say, but let's stay with this because now Connors and White Carrick have gotten away. It's going to be here. Hollis versus Vesselis versus McMillan now fighting over 4th place here on track. And more drama at the hairpin further behind. It's all popping off here at the end of the race. Meanwhile, coming through the final corner now, Neil McKenzie, after an excellent pit strategy, is going to get around the final corner and he's going to take the win here at number 3. Executed a strategy to come home with the win at the end of the race. Going to be Anthony Connors who's going to hang on to 2nd place. Jesse White Carrick for 3rd, and Roderick Hollis, we thought he didn't quite have the pace for this group at the front, but he comes back through for 4th position, followed by Tony Vesselis just holding off Brandon McMillan at the end. Ben Ferguson in 7th, and Chad Lewis coming 8th. Dylan Canto 9th, and our last driver in the top 10 is going to be Philip Paradiso, apparently, according to my timing screens at the end of that race there. For some reason, Dave Gogol, who has finished ahead on track, according to my timing, for some reason scoring behind. But we'll have a look at those results for you after the race.
Yeah, we did see the timing kind of jump out a little bit. There's quite a lot happening there. kind of a lot happening there in that sand trap there as well there. But potentially that might have been a 10th place there for Philip Paradiso. We did see him in so many battles here throughout the night. Let you run through it.
All right, well, here are the results from race number 3. It's going to be... Actually, hang on a second. That doesn't quite look right there. Matt Van Egmond certainly didn't finish the feature race. Indeed. So apologies there, folks. It looks like we've got a small error here with our timing display. And there we go. That's more like we're looking for. Neil McKenzie currently celebrating with some donuts out, I believe, in the turn 2 gravel, but comes home with the race win after the early pit stop strategy has worked for him here. 4.5 seconds to Anthony Connors in 2nd, who was able to just get away from Jesse White Carrick in 3rd there on the last lap. Roderick Hollis, as I was just saying there at the end, able to capitalise on the fighting to get 4th place there ahead of Tony Vesselis, who is just 7/100ths of a second ahead of Brandon McMillan in 6th place. And then we've got Ben Ferguson in 7th, Chad Lewis 8th, Dylan Canto in 9th, with Dave Gogol indeed rounding out the top 10 here. Head over the page. And Nick, I'll let you take this one here.
Yeah, that we did see that final result there. Philip Paradiso there, Jamie Budd there, good damage limitation there into 12th place there. Jamie Willits, Luke Claver there, Eric Fenson with Henry Fenson as well, 15th and 16th. Terry Knowles there, Bard Rodkin, Darren Linus, and Brenton Moulton rounding out our top 20.
And over the page, one final time for the AM class here tonight. It's Shane Seddon. Unfortunately, not quite this race 3 result he was looking for after earlier pace tonight. It's 21st for him. Followed by Callan Hodgkinson, also a driver that probably could have, and was definitely hoping for a better result than 22nd in race 3. Graham Ellis, 23rd. Matt Van Egmond ruining that drive-through penalty, I'm sure, for a 24th finish at the end here. Wade McCulloch, 25th. And our last driver finishing on the lead lap leaves us with Brinley Eastwood, Shane Newens, Ray Harrison, and John Thorne, along with Peter Gretton, our final cars, finishing one or multiple laps down here to round out race number 3 in the Simworks Roadster Rumble AM class. Well, that's going to do it for the AM class, speaking of which, but please don't go anywhere, folks, because we've now got the Pro class coming up, and we're heading over to Watkins Glen International. So stay tuned with us whilst we take a quick break here, folks, to switch servers, and we'll be back right with you in just a minute. right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the SimWorks Roadster Rumble for season number 3. We're here with the Pro Split, Watkins Glen, and while we were changing over, we're already green here, folks, so let's jump right into it as we're into the first race of 3, 15 laps for these Pro Class drivers as they make their way up the hill through the S's at Watkins Glen for the first time here, Nick.
Yeah, we do see, we're just kind of waiting for our timing to come up, but we do see Hobbo 88, that Synergy car there in that third position here, so expecting a lot from him. I think he almost won the championship from last season, if I'm not mistaken. It was either between him or I think it was Jack Boyd. So we are going to see quite a lot of pace out of him. All in together there. We haven't seen any cars peel off in any of the first corners there, but talking Boyd there, I do believe that is Jack Boyd currently getting that nose in ahead of Brenton Hobson.
Indeed, yeah, making the move stick thanks in fact to the draft and the bump push from Hobbo down the back stretch. As we can see here, the the field here on the Watkins Glen Cup course, the shortened track, which does make sense, but it does mean we're going to have a lot of drafting here as these guys making full advantage of the new rescan and the wide and asphalt runoff through the penultimate corner, swinging wide. That's a car pulling into the pits immediately here on that one, followed by number car. I believe that's possibly Lee Harrison in the 26. Meanwhile, drama on the outside of the field. Multiple cars contacted, spinning across the pit entry for good measure. Goodness me. Also, we've been trying to get our eyes on this one here, folks. It has gone all wrong. That's the pit exit blocked up for a second. Todd George in the 626. Brenton Bull in the fence out on track in the number 4. Oh my goodness me. It is getting busy here as we start lap number 2. And unfortunately, we're still here without full timing for us commentators, so we'll do our best to keep our eyes on the car numbers, folks, and hopefully have that situation resolved. But in the meantime, it's Jack Boyd leading Brenton Hobson as they head down the back straight once again here, Nick.
It's Sonny Canchin there in that third position at the moment. Wayne Losh there in 5th. Tane Venables in 6th there as well, so seeing quite a few familiar faces here. So many familiar faces here from our previous MX5 seasons. All these guys in particular here, our top 7, all know each other, all have raced against each other, and we've all put on just so much action in the past there, so we're expecting such a close race there as well. Sonny Canchin there up the inside, pretty much going to see a lead change every lap here as they make so much advantage of the draft there. Oh, as we just see so much of the track in that asphalt runoff.
As we see, speaking of Sonny Canchin, he peels off from that battle pack into the pit lane. He's followed by the number 3 of Venables, unfortunately, first name to me, completely unknown. Those two will peel off, though, to get the first of their 2 pit stops tonight complete, as we see that now the lead 4 of Jack Boyd, Brenton Hobson, one of the hobbies, unfortunately, first name, and I believe that's Wayne Losh in 4th place as they make their run up the hill once again. And unfortunately, looking further back here, we've got the number 35 of possibly Daniel Webster, maybe. Apologies if I'm getting that wrong. He's chased down by 99, and unfortunately I've lost them on the timing tower. But we're rating on board though here. Jet Johnson, number 17, behind Webster as they head up the straight for lap number 3 here, 15 here. Pulls out from the early draft, and in fact he's going to be able to get the double draft down the straight. Does Jet pull back across to the inside to take the place? The answer is yes. As they pass by the inner loop chicane. Are we 3 wide into the carousel, Nick? I think we might just be.
It was such a shallow line there by that car there up on the inside. Very cool there with that New South Wales police force there of Johnson. We'll have to say he's going to be under a lot of pressure there at the moment. They are going to go in rows of 2 all the way down there. He's seeing he's going to get a nose out in front there, so he's actually protecting his line just in behind there. I think that is Ray Oliver there. Right up the inside, trying to give each other room. Very different dynamic here, as we saw at Okayama. Quite a simple track like Okayama, but such higher speeds. It flows a lot faster.
Absolutely. It's definitely a good choice of track for a group of cars like this. Obviously, a driver group such as this, which been selected as the faster half of the drivers here in the SimWorks Roadster Rumble for season number 3. Does mean, obviously, we hope to see, perhaps a little bit better driving standards, but at the same time, the AM class was pretty good tonight. Meanwhile, back up front, there was a little bit of a gap for Jack Boyd. There is absolutely none left as they come down the end of the back straight. It is Brenton Hobson all over his rear end with 4 cars. In fact, mate, that a train all the way back, I believe, to about 10th position here, Nick, with more or less nothing in between them all.
Yeah, absolutely. They're car 44 there for Nicholas Scaife. Unlucky 44. It's quite preferential to the number that I normally use there. Nicholas Scaife there, drive-through penalty. So currently in 30th position, that's going to push him all the way to the back.
Yeah, it's definitely not what Scaife would be hoping for. And definitely not something they would want to be dealing with here. But race number 1 of 3 for the Pro Division as well tonight, so we'll hopefully have a chance to recover as the front of the field makes its way around turn number 1 here as they start lap 5 of 15. Cars making their way up the hill through the S's once again. Got 2 packs of 3 now sort of splitting up here at the front of the field, and then another group of 4 cars to round out our top 10 here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely there. We did see, I think that is Tane Venables a little bit further back there. I think that is Sonny Kanchan under a lot of attack here at the moment. Seeing everyone kind of jostle for track position as well. You almost really want that inside. We are actually on board there. Car 74, Sean Doyle, who we've seen pretty competitive in some of the last seasons here. We did see him in the very last season. He was quite competitive though in our Bathurst Enduro. So he'll be out there tonight. He's such a heavy hitter in so many of the leagues that we run here throughout the week. So expecting big things from him, especially in that 4th position, being able to stick with those top 3 cars there as well. Sonny Kanchan there taking a very shallow line there. He's actually going to pull in, that is Wayne Losh, his teammate, into the pits there. Very good start there, all the way up into 5th place into the pits there. He's going to have some clean track ahead of him.
Meanwhile, this lead pack of cars continues nose to tail. Great to see they're able to race this close to each other and not trip each other up on the brakes, especially as we climb the hill. It's on board here with Andrew Hobby in the number 12, looking back from 3rd position. He's got the number 74 all over his rear gearbox, and Brad Vaughan in the number 100 for good measure. Come up the hill here. Brad Vaughan, I think, has got a good chance of stealing the place off the 74, but no draft all of a sudden as Hobby pulls back to the outside line. Has Brad got enough overspeed here, plus some tow from Brenton Hobson, who's gone around up the inside of Jack Boyd for the lead. Oh, Brad Vaughan almost looking for the inside of Hobson, and that nearly got messy there, folks, but able to tuck back in, and we just go 2 by 2 with a small shuffle now. 5th up to 3rd, and 1 and 2 changing places here on track, Nick.
Yeah, these drivers, such a strong spatial awareness there. We did see Brenton Hobson there cut in pretty hard there, but all of them giving each other plenty of room there as well. You can see there, he's going to come across the line there, leading another lap. We'll have to say very much that we saw in our first, in our AM race there. It is really going to come down to that strategy, and the strategy we're seeing unfold there now. Sean Doyle leading Caleb Patterson, another car there of Kyle Ridley. Haven't seen too much there of Kyle Ridley, so he's coming in now for his first stop of 2.
Indeed, so starting to thin out of the lead pack here just a little bit as the cars make their way up the hill. This time it's Brendan Hobson on the defence from Jack Boyd, and closely followed by Brad Vaughan here. I believe these 3 cars have now got about a distance of about 0 between their front and rear bumpers, but it's Brad Vaughan who's going to pull out first to try and get the inside move, but it exposes him to the push. Well, in fact, actually he's going to get a bump draft from Andrew Hobby here. 2 by 2 down the back straight we go into the carousel here on lap 7. The answer is going to be we stay 2 by 2. Oh, a little contact between Hobby and Boyd there in the second row, and it looks like Brad Vaughan is going to have a nose ahead on the exit, but having to run that tight line, he's going to actually run out of speed a little bit, and Jack Boyd coming for the push back to give Brendan Hobson the lead once again, and now we're side by side between Boyd and Vaughan through the penultimate corner here. Which one of these two is going to give up? Does either of them give up here? The answer is not really, although Brad Vaughan looks like he tucks back in, and from the lead of the race, Brendan Hobson down onto the pit lane, taking an early pit stop here and handing the lead back to Jack Boyd, Nick.
Yeah, so Jack Boyd definitely one to watch there. We've just seen him be so strong. You'd have to say there, Hobson, such a masterclass when it comes to strategy as well. Just seeing a few of our other MX-5s coming into the pits here as well.
Well, yes, given such a strong draft track, I would suspect you want to get your pit stops done early and not save one of them for race number 3, and therefore make sure you can have a clean fight at it. As we're looking here at the battle pack in the middle of the field, starting with, I believe, got Caleb Patterson in position number 10. He's got Sean Doyle directly behind. Sean, as we just said, having one of the 3 cars to make his pit stop. And as we can see there, coming out in front of this train is Brenton Hobson with that first pit stop done here.
Yeah, on board here with Kyle Ridley as well. So Kyle being one of the newcomers to the Roads to Rumble series as well. So doing an excellent job there to be up as far as where he is. It's definitely almost like Speedway style or NASCAR style. It's probably not so much if you're really that first wheel. As long as you're in that pack there, you're really going to have a chance at it as well. You see just how much...
oh, goodness me, it's busy up front. Sorry to cut you off there, Nick. We had Nick Wood right behind Brad Vaughan, who was trying to get to the pit lane, and he's been followed in by Andrew Hobby. Meanwhile, this battle pack, which has got Ben Snell out ahead ever so slightly, but then we've got, I believe, somewhere in the order of 9 cars, nose to tail. Tane Venables, who's made his way up into 10th position. Caleb Patterson and Sean Doyle, I believe, side by side for the better part of that and whole lap. Quickly followed by Aaron Oliver and Lee Harrison, who we both saw pit in early on lap number 1, looking to continue to make up positions after that early stop. But that's Harrison into the fence at the final corner. That's going to hurt the car possibly, well, a little bit, but at the very least, hurts the run down the front straight. Sonny Kanchin behind here, having also pitted early in the race. Does have a bit of speed, but chooses to stay in line and allow the work with the pack. Meanwhile, cars exiting the pits, but did they just drift wide of the exit line? Ooh, that's going to be nasty. If they've gone a little bit too wide there, Nick, we could be seeing cars there up for a penalty for unsafe pit exit. As up the hill, side by side, it's Brad Vaughan with Tane Venables. Oh my goodness, these guys are leaving nothing on the table here as we're into the second half of this race. 7 laps to go here, Nick, down the back straight. I count 3 wide. Do I count 4 wide?
Yeah, we're almost going to say there, Sean Doyle almost boxed in. It's almost trying to, you have to say it's like a rolling car park there. Oh, that was a really big touch there, right in front of Andrew Hobby. I actually didn't catch what car that came through there, so I think that was Caleb Patterson potentially right into the side there. Thankfully, not an accident. They were doing around, you'd have to say they're around that 180 km/h mark there. So any slight touch, especially around some of these big sweeping corners, it can cause quite a big accident.
Yes, indeed. And in fact, just as I was saying, we saw Brad Vaughan take his pit stop last time around, but he's back in the lane with Andrew Hobby. I'm almost certain that is penalties for exceeding the yellow line on pit exit there as they are coming into the box. That'll be a 40-second hold. It's an incredibly nasty penalty and not what they were looking for here in race 1. Meanwhile, this battle pack continues. It goes all the way from Nicholas Scaife, who is currently riding in... Well, actually, let me just find him on the timing sheet, sorry. But, oh, sorry, Nicholas Scaife, unfortunately, down a lap here early. So the last car on the lead lap is Lucas McAuliffe in 16th, but it goes all the way up effectively to Ben Snell, who is currently in 7th place. A huge train of cars here, just demonstrating the draft, as these guys are looking to hit almost 205 kilometers an hour down the back stretch, as it's Sean Doyle at the front of this train with the tow and possibly a bit of, well, draft from basically being pushed along in the rear. He's going to get past Ben Snell, and Tane Venables is going to go with him here at the end of the back stretch, Nick.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of a difference that draft can make as well. It can make anywhere up to maybe 5, 6 or 7 kilometres an hour difference. We did see, if you're in that draft there, it can almost net you around 210 kilometres an hour or so. If you're without that draft, almost just over 200 kilometres an hour. So we did see Ben Snell quite visually getting that massive draft on Sean Doyle and that other car there of 43 Tane Venables in front. We'll have to say as well, we did see Lee Harrison before there and Aaron Oliver. Both of them have had a fair bit of bad luck there in some of our previous MX-5 races, as well as Ben Snell. So we're seeing, I think, a lot of these drivers here really want a bit of new season redemption coming through. Did see that downshift car there hung out. That is, I think that is Tane Venables. So he's slotted in behind of Sean Doyle. He's going to be pushing him all the way down that main straight. Indeed, he's so close at the top of the S's there. Slightly problematic though, because it leaves him with nowhere to go as he gets to the top of the hill and allows Ben Snell to close the gap
currently got a couple of extra kilometres over Tane, and in fact Tane straight to the inside here, ultra defensive, makes it almost 3 wide, but Ben Snell, last of the late breakers of this pair, this guy's up front, he's going to get that position back at the front of the train, which is 7th place now. And speaking of cars without draft, you just have to look at Brenton Hobson up ahead. That gap has been whittled away piece by piece, just because, as good as Hobbo is, he can't break a pack of 10 cars coming at him at least 5 kilometres an hour faster down the straights, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's going to get swallowed up. There's actually one thing to note as well with Tane Venables and Caleb Patterson, so those two teammates nearby, so you'd have to say those two possibly communicating with each other, definitely on a track that requires so much strategy there. It's not really a track that you can kind of outdrive everyone. It's more about just sitting in on that draft. So those two are going to be working together. We do have a new leader there, Jack Boyd there. Sorry, I think that is Tom Hagen there coming around Glenn Boyd. So Nick Wood there right in the mix as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Tom Hagen with the draft, thanks to both of the Boyd drivers getting the advantage. We've also got Brad Vaughan and Andrew Hobby in the mix, but unfortunately they're a lap down and they're now traffic for this lead pack of drivers. So, but having said that, Jack Boyd straight back past Tom Hagen after the carousel section of the track here as they come around the final corner to start lap number 12. We're down to 4 laps to go here as they cross the line, or as we should be if I'm not mistaken. But once again, well, yes, the timing says 3, but my head says 4 because they're starting lap 12 and they've got to get to the end of 15. Anyways, we'll worry about that one later because the battle pack is on. They've caught Brenton Hobson for P6, and that means I believe it's 11 cars from 6th back to 16th, covered by what my timing says, 1.7 seconds here, folks. Look at this here as they head down the front stretch.
This is probably as close as we could get to NASCAR as you possibly could here. MX-5's around such a fast track of Watkins Glen. It looks absolutely amazing there with that new rescan. You can see that really big, that turn is almost a little bit redesigned there. You can see that they don't have to really cut back in to miss that grass section, so they can actually hang it out pretty wide over the asphalt. Oh, as we see Ben Snell's off.
Oh, goodness me, in the back of the shot there, hard into the fence. Has he taken anyone else with him? The answer is yes. Unfortunately, the already struggling Nicholas Scaife goes, but Kyle Ridley from the lead lap pack has been caught up in all of this. And as it turns out, I had a complete Billy moment and got my lap counts wrong. So indeed, we're on lap 13. There's 3 laps to go in this race. Make it 2.5. In fact, make it 2 because the leaders have just crossed the start finish line whilst we're watching this now slightly reduced battle pack. And whilst that was all happening, Sonic Canshin has made his way to the front of this group. Oh, contact! Sean Doyle, Brenton Hobson. Oh my goodness, both cars thankfully able to keep it out of the fence, but it's getting feisty here. And this is race 1 of 3, folks. We are going to be busy all night if this stays up here as we head to the virtual racing school replay. Have a look at what happened to Ben Snell here, Nick.
The bad luck continues there for Ben Snell. We've so much down the championship at the moment, but it was just that slight contact and car 9 there as well. So I think Kyle Ridley, just an absolute passenger and all that. No, obviously not much you can do there at around 170 k's an hour. Very hard to try and drive around someone. So it was a big concertina effect.
Absolutely. And meanwhile, another change for the lead. This time it's Glenn Boyd who has the lead ever so slightly over Jack, but the tow from Brad Vaughan, our traffic here with the lead pack. I mean, saying that, Brad Vaughan, as you can see, has the pace to run with these guys, but unfortunately not getting the pit exit right has cost him dearly here in race 1. So the tow back and forth, it's really clearly showing here. The apex is pretty handy to have, but if you can keep the power down and open the steering up, the outside line in so many of these corners is perfectly usable as well. White flag is in the air. We've got 1 lap to go in this first race of 3 tonight. It's Jack Boyd who leads them to that flag, and we've got 4 cars in it still for the race win here, Nick.
Yeah, I'd have to say there, I think, is that a lap car down there as well? I think that car 100.
Indeed, yes. Indeed. We've got...
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go for it then.
Yeah, my bad, yes, indeed. Brad Vaughan is a lap car in this group, unfortunately due to the pit stop error. And at the back of the group, it's Andrew Hobby who's also lap traffic. So it's Jack Boyd Glenn Boyd, Nick Wood, and Tom Huggan, our 4 cars fighting for that race lead. But at the same time, thank goodness for side-by-side vision, because the battle pack for 6th is still 8 cars strong. It's led by Brenton Hobson, but who knows how long that will last with the toe up the pack straight here. Final lap of this race. We're going to have to keep our eyes on both of these groups as the second pack makes its way up the S's for the final time. Meanwhile, for the race lead, it's Jack Boyd leading Glenn, but Glenn is tucked up right behind Jack. But with Brad Vaught here, does this gift Jack the win? Because there's not a lot of places Glenn can go, thanks to the positioning of Brad Vaught indeed. Meanwhile, battle pack for 6th, it's Sonny Canchin and Tane Venables side by side at the front of the train. Aaron Oliver's made his way up alongside Hobbo, but at the front of the field, it's going to be Jack Boyd leading Glenn Boyd, Nick Wood for 3rd with Tom Huggan 4th. Daniel Webster, a quiet race for 5th all by himself, but here we go, 3 wide out of the carousel. Sonny Canchin leads now from Tane Venables and Aaron Oliver. 2 by 2 by 2, I think. Oh, it's Venables runs, goodness me, runs Canchin wide for the penultimate corner. Canchin has something for him. Oh, contact at the back of the pack there. There's cars lost for the back of it. Looks like Lucas McAuliffe around. And Wayne Losh. Who's going to win the line? It's going to be Sonny Canchin who gets 6th place. Leads Tane Venables. Brenton Hobson holds on for 8th. Aaron Oliver 9th. And Sean Doyle 10th place with Caleb Patterson and Lee Harrison rounding out that pack at the line there, Nick. Goodness me.
Yeah, I would have to say there actually, as we were watching that, Brenton Hobson absolutely had that run there, but got boxed in there, and that is one thing that you got to be so careful about here. If you're that second wheel in behind, and we've seen these packs run so tight, you can have that pace there coming out of the corner, but there's not much you can do there if you're boxed in so tightly.
Indeed, I was just making a comment of it with Brenton was leading the group through turns 1 and 2 as they headed up the hill, and unfortunately that looks like that wasn't the place to be here in that one. Let's have a quick look at the race results as we get ready for race number 2. It was Jack Boyd just a 10th ahead of Glenn Boyd there in 2nd, with Nick Wood in 3rd, Tom Huggan 4th, half a second covering that group of 4 cars. Then we go back to Daniel Webster in 5th, followed by the massive train, Sonny Canchin leading Tane Venables, Brenton Hobson, Aaron Oliver, and Sean Doyle running out the top 10. But he didn't round out that pack there, Nick, as we head over the page.
Yeah, we did see Sean in so many of those battles there as well. Caleb Patterson, Lee Harrison, Wayne Losh, Lucas Micallef, Owen Coleman, Simon Joel Smith there, Steve McMahon, Dennis Hancock. Didn't see too much of their Dennis there. Brody Cook and Scott Harvey there in our 20th position.
And over the page, one last time, Damien Seeger in 21st, followed by Jet Johnson, Cameron Edwards, and Kyle Ridley, our last car on the lead lap there. With Brad Vaughan, Andrew Hobby, Ben Snell unfortunately out late, Todd George, Brenton Bull, and Ray Oliver all a lap down. That's 30 cars. We've got the Rebs arriving. Meanwhile, for race 2, we've got Nicholas Scaife there just on that page. Meanwhile, it's green flag, and we didn't get a chance to get to the grid, but it's an inverted top 15, and we're underway here at Watkins Glen for race number 2 in the pro split of the SimWorks Road to Rumble, Nick.
Yeah, I do believe, I think that either is Brody Cook or there. Oh, sorry.
Trouble immediately! 3 cars. It's Lee Harrison going around the outside, dodges the chaos, thankfully, but we'll have to figure out who that was who's been tangled up in it in a second here, folks. Oh, more trouble further back. Oh my goodness me. It's happened just like in the AM split. Race 2 has gone off with an absolute bang to get underway here, Nick. Owen Coleman leads the field up the hill for the first time. He's followed by Aaron Oliver and Brenton Hobson, who are now drafting each other down the inside. So Aaron Oliver's going to get the race lead with Hobbo to take 2nd place here.
Yeah, you have to say there, Hobbo all the way up into 2nd there already as well. It's actually blown a couple of our packs apart there as well. So probably not so much of a point though, because we are going to see quite a few of our cars there. Oh, saw a big tank slapper there. I think that was from Sean Doyle, thankfully keeping it pointed straight, but we are going to see quite a lot of our pit stops here for race 2. Probably end up seeing almost the entire field pit at least some stage through here, so you'd have to say though, you wouldn't want to come in on that first lap.
They're in front of the field, trouble! Aaron Oliver looking to pit for the 2nd time in this race, catches out Brenton Hobson, and there's front to rear contact. That is not what Aaron wanted. Immediately followed in by Lee Harrison. It's the same strategy he tried in race 1, but It's not worked out there. It's the cruelest thing with the pit entry here at Watkins Glen. Right on that racing line as all the drivers look to hug into the apex. We'll have to see if race control hands down the penalty for a penalty for Brenton Hobson there. You would think it's pretty cut and dry as we head to the virtual racing school replay, Nick.
Yeah, you'd have to say they're almost without anywhere to go here. I do believe we're actually revisiting the start here on our VRS replay, seeing what had happened. We did see Tame Venables there spinning on his own, not actually having any contact with anyone else, but we did see in that foreground as well, I think there goes Andrew Hobby doing a massive pirouette right through the centre of the track there as well.
Meanwhile, we were 3 wide at the end of the back straight. Thankfully, it's sorted itself out now with Sonny Canshin working his way to the front of the field, but closely followed by Jack Boyd. There's less than a tenth in it. Sean Doyle got the draft out of the carousel here, but he's got nowhere to go. And Owen Coleman looking to get back up towards the front of this field after slipping into the middle of this pack here. Nevertheless, this is the top 9 cars still running here in race number 2 of the SimWorks Sports Car Rumble. Oh, look at these guys all diving for track position. And there we go. Jack Boyd and Sonny Canshin diving for the pit lane. That's Nick Wood going in as well. They're followed by Tom Huggin, and this time Brenton Hobson is able to make his way down the lane. Oh, yeah, Nick. Well, thankfully this...
Sorry, front to rear contact there. I think that was between Nick Wood and another car as well. Also their car 202, Lucas Mikulev, with a drive-through penalty.
Indeed. So that is for lap 1, turn 1 on the outside of the track. So just having a look here, this is what we obviously were watching last lap around. Aaron Oliver slow through the middle of the final corner, intending to take the pit stop. Brenton Hobson directly behind, clearly intending to keep the speed up here, and given he was already right behind, nowhere to go. Here's what we just missed when we came back from our replay of the lap 1, turn 1 incident. There's Sean Doyle looking to get the run past... we're looking at live pushes up ahead. That'll be Glenn Boyd fighting off of Owen Coleman, and Sean Doyle is there fighting now over the front of the field thanks to the pit stop shuffling this order. Daniel Webster now on the back of this group. Daniel got stuck ever so slightly in this sort of a space of his own. It obviously helped his race result, coming home 5th place pretty comfortably, but now looking to get racy here in the second race here today. Now part of this pack of cars. No one from the front 5 looking to pit just now, so all staying out on track for the time being. And in fact, we've got Ray Oliver just behind, along with Cameron Edwards in 8th. So looking at about 6 cars in the front pack as Jet Johnson is joining the back of the lead group here. And then a small gap, an 8-second gap back to Ray Oliver and Cameron Edwards in the meantime here. So cars starting to fan out a little bit, but Jack Boyd, leader of our drivers who's pitted, coming around the final corner now in 10th place, Nick.
Yeah, so big mover as well there as well. Dennis Hancock qualifying a little bit further down here, so great to see him in the Royal a Royal Rumble there. You'd almost have to call it a Royal Rumble. It's our Roadster Rumble. You see he's in that middle finger racing car as well with Sean Doyle. You can see those 2 chrome cars there, one on the inside, one on the outside. Downshift car there. I think that might be the Ray Oliver there, or Tane Venables. I'm trying to catch which car's which.
It'll be Owen Coleman in the downshift 27 there at the front of the field. Meanwhile, 3 wide we went once again down the back straight. We go 3 wide again. Daniel Webster taking the lead momentarily, but it's going to be Sean Doyle going to the front of the field as they come through the penultimate corner here on lap number 4 of 15. Glenn Boyd looking to hang on to position number 2 here from Webster as they come around again. No one in this lead pack pulling down to the pit lane to get their pit stop cleared. So leader of the drivers who have pitted is still Jack Boyd, and Jack Boyd just coming out of the carousel this time by. So as we watch these guys make their way through turn 1 once again, side by side there for Webster and Boyd, giving Doyle just the breather he needs here to escape any pressure down the end of the back straight. We'll have to wait and see. The draft is obviously important, but with these guys, and look at that, Glenn Boyd hung out to dry through the S's. But of course, in saying that, Daniel Webster comes across, and we get 2 by 2 down the back straight. Oh, it's Jet Johnson all the way out to the left side of the track. Half a car's width outside Coleman. There isn't space out there, Jet. You're going to have to tuck in. And meanwhile, it's bringing Dennis Hancock in the 822 fully into the battle. And all of a sudden, Glenn Boyd disengages, and then contact. Webster and Johnson are around. Thankfully, it looks like no one else is going to get caught up in this, but it's also got another car slow there. Is that? No, I don't believe so. Just my thought another car slower. But yes. Oh, I was just saying how well Daniel Webster had done in race 1. Unfortunately, no draft to help him close the gap. But this time it's gotten all wrong and it's collected Jet Johnson. We'll hopefully get a replay of that one in the second, folks. But it means now we've got 2 lead drivers fighting for the race lead and 2 drivers fighting over third. Speaking of which, though, Glenn Boyd brings it down to the pits to get that stop done here in race number 2, Nick.
I have to say, Boyd Racing absolutely nailing their strategy there. We did see Jack there sitting around that 10th place. He's pitted it already a little bit earlier on there. Glenn Boyd into the pits now. We are going to cut to a VRS replay between a few of our cars there. You can just see,
oh no,
very hard to see from an angle what had happened there. Very lucky there for Dennis Hancock, though. Just holding it together there right off the racing line. I think that was car 35 in all kinds of strife.
And then the final car on the scene there, missing Daniel Webster by an inch. I'm pretty sure the answer is that we had Johnson coming across to get the inside, but Webster was still there all the same. Meanwhile, further back in the field, it's Ben Snell, currently running in 6th place, and now the leader of the cars that have pitted. They've swallowed up Jack Boyd, and now it's going to be this battle pack that works its way back towards the leader. But front to rear, Jack Boyd's got Aaron Oliver. It goes from bad to worse. Aaron Oliver must be absolutely hating his luck right now, because that's not what he needed. Jack Boyd caught up in it as well. Oh, is it still going on? It's still going on. Jet Johnson again. And Aaron Oliver a second time in the same lap. You have to be kidding me here.
You'd have to say one of them has walked under a ladder somewhere along the lines there, because how can you have such bad luck there? We are looking at the front there. We'll cut to a replay, I'm sure of it in a sec. That is Sean Doyle there at the moment with Owen Coleman on the back. We are going to cut to a VRS replay. Almost hard to work out where to start from that.
I do believe it starts here, Nick, with Jack Boyd and Aaron Oliver. Nowhere to go here, and just looking for an inside line that wasn't there, and Aaron giving a little bit of space perhaps that probably didn't need to, but nevertheless that rear end was probably already unsettled. And then here it is, Glenn Boyd and Jet Johnson coming upon the stricken cars. What happens here? Oh no, Jets! Oh no, Jets! Oh, that's just, I think, to be honest,
he thought left, he thought right, and then thought left again, which was probably a little bit too late there when you're coming up on on almost a stopped car there at about 180 k's an hour. So yeah, Johnson there with terrible luck, but definitely a lot of pace. I'm sure he'll be able to potentially capitalise. We'll have to say that Ben Snell, we did see there with a heavy accident in that race 1, has worked his way all the way back up into 5th position. Also, one of the cars that have pitted as well, so he's potentially looking there. If our top 4 pit, potentially could be in for a podium for our race 2.
Indeed, Nick. And to be honest, as you were saying there about Jet just trying to keep the speed up, I think, to be brutally honest to Jet and to any of the other drivers there, you've got to back off when you see cars slow, and surely one would hope that, to be honest, the local yellows might not have been waving because those cars were maintaining some sort of speed. But to be completely honest, when you've got cars that slow, you know something's not right, and you need to think about being ready to slow down and stop. Instead, it really looks like it was too little too late there for Jet as he came up on the back of Aaron Oliver. Meanwhile, though, as we're talking about Ben Snell, here he is, 6th place on track. He's got Lee Harrison right behind him as they start lap number 8 of 15 here. They're hoping to possibly work their way up towards Cameron Edwards and Ray Oliver, but then again, those 2 cars are the last of the drivers in this race yet to pit. So we're looking at what could be our net race lead if everyone ahead of these 2 opts to take a pit stop in race 2 here, Nick.
Yeah, I would have to say as well, our last season of the Roadster Rumble with Lee Harrison, one of the admins of the season as well, has just had such bad luck in that previous season as well, not really been able to nab a podium. So this is a potential chance to get even a potential round podium as well. Having a little look back there, still I think that is Sean Doyle there on the back. Does have a Sean Doyle there. I think that is showing up on my screen as Dennis Hancock, but that is one of the downshift cars in there behind. One of our new teams. I think V-Race.
Yes, indeed. Well, we were just watching there. It was Ray Oliver and Cameron Edwards working their way down the front straight. Oliver looking like he was able to hang on there to the position, but meanwhile, action aplenty up and down the field. Here's Nicholas Scaife, currently running in 17th place. Clearly having a better race than he did, unfortunately, in race number 1 earlier on. Trying to get past Kyle Ridley and Todd George for 15th place. Pit stop complete, but 50 seconds off the leaders and 20 seconds off Lee Harrison, who, as we just mentioned, leader of those who have pitted. So definitely in a rough spot and almost a long way behind for the time being. So hope that plays out. Meanwhile, though, the Boyds are back together, although they are front and rear of the battle pack. We've got Jack Boyd, Caleb Patterson, Brenton Hobson, Brenton Bull, and Glenn Boyd. But here comes Glenn Boyd up the inside. He's gotten past Brenton Bull. Does he get past Hobbo here in the carousel? The answer is I don't think so. Hobbo able to brake late enough and then try and maintain the outside line. Meanwhile, Owen Coleman, as we were saying, one of the cars from that lead pack chooses to come down the lane this time by, and that should promote Lee Harrison and Ben Snell up into 5th and 6th places respectively from where they are at the moment. But we've got to keep our eyes on, well, in fact, to be honest, we've got to keep our eyes on just about everything everywhere. Who have we got there? That will be Ray Oliver and Cameron Edwards. Here's that pack, 8th through 12th. These cars all pitted, so hopefully we won't have any more dramas like we've seen earlier with other cars looking to pit early. They make their way down the front straight, starting lap number 10 of 15 here. That's 6 to go for these guys, Nick.
Yeah, we're just seeing a few of our cars there as well. I think that was Sean Doyle, Dennis Hancock, and Daniel Webb, potentially Daniel Webster before. So we saw all those middle finger racing cars there all together. We are seeing quite a lot of these. You can see how much the pit strategies, when a lot of our teammates are running similar pit strategies, it puts them at a similar spot around the track there. Quite notably there, for Jack and Glenn Boyd, these two have been such a force to be reckoned with here in the Roadster Rumble there. Brent Hobson again being boxed in there. He's going to have Jack in, I think he's got Glenn in front or Jack in behind there. So he's in a bit of a Boyd sandwich here at the moment. Car 58 there, Jack Boyd there. Hung around the outside there, bit of a contact there around that big loop section there. Managing to hold it together there though. It is car of Caleb Patterson out there in front. Caleb having an absolute run there. He's actually going to open the door up just a little bit in between. He's going to apex these two corners there, so he's going to be safe for this lap around here. We are at 11 and 15. We've still got a few more laps to go.
Indeed, they're looking to track down Owen Coleman, who's, you can see, sitting out there a little bit on his own, so he's going to be incredibly vulnerable to this entire group of cars. And one would think they'll work together here for the final 4 laps. No, 5 laps, sorry. Oh, goodness me. My numbers apparently am all frazzled and having a hard time figuring them out tonight. So, knock you around the head afterwards once we're done, I suppose. But anyways, it's Caleb Patterson. Glenn Boyd having got a good run down the front straight here is looking to get alongside up the hill, but way down on speed at the top of the S's. That line looked to be very suboptimal. Now the question is, which Boyd does Caleb give the draft to?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, gee, even on the brakes there as well. So, almost looked like Caleb Patterson potentially might have even rolled out of that there. It is actually pushed. Oh. Gee, Jack Boyd cuts right across the front of the nose there of Hobson and Patterson as well. So he's going to be in the hot seat as they come around. We are looking back at our 3 middle finger racing cars there of Sean Doyle, of Dennis Hancock there, and Scott Harvey. Sorry, Scott Harvey was the 3rd middle finger racing car. Oh no, they're white knuckle raced. I've got the. Sorry about that. I made that slight mistake there with some of our teams.
As you can see here, so the battle for 3rd on track. Cameron Edwards leads Ray Oliver, and they've got the lap car of Jet Johnson in amongst them here. So it is 2 cars to position, but you know Jet's got the speed here to race with them. So hopefully he can either stay with them without interfering too much, or get past them and allow these two here fighting to push him along and stay clear of their action. Meanwhile, the battle continues once again for the 7th on down. Owen Coleman's out in front, but Ben Snell, it's been a couple of laps. He's just gotten back ahead of Lee Harrison. Ahead of these two. In fact, they're just in shot of these guys as they head down the back straight. Coleman leads Jack Boyd with Brenton Hobson, followed by Glenn Boyd. Caleb Patterson was at the front of the pack earlier, but either chosen to slot back in or has been made to by a force of draft, I suppose. So, as always, positions changing here amongst this group frequently, and thankfully for now, with no fuss. So, and it's Brenton Bull who rounds out this pack here, 7th through 12th, as they come around the final corner here to start lap 13 and get us to 3 laps to go here, Nick.
Awesome to see Brenton Bull there right in the mix there. We've seen him in some of our previous seasons as well. I was actually noticed there with Edwards with that car 46. It was a 46 is such a popular number there in the Roadster Rumble, quite obviously there with Rossi retiring and that being Rossi's number. We usually always see there's a big scramble for car 46, so he's the lucky one that gets it this time around. The white knuckle racing cars there all working together there.
Indeed.
I think that was Mark Walker last season with car 46 with the Rossi livery there. Harrison there up the inside of Snell.
Yeah, going around the outside down the back stretch here, and Snell doesn't need to fight that. He knows that if they start scrapping too hard, could easily allow this massive pack for 7th on back to hunt them down. It would be incredibly tight. But to be honest, Lee and Ben need to keep doing what they're doing, and everything will work out in the end. But all it could take is one mistake for the two of them to both get tangled up in each other and slow down enough to possibly give these guys a chance. Although we are speaking of 2 laps to go here in race number 2 for the Simworks Roadster Rumble. So would have to be quite the mistake from either Lee or Ben to see them under pressure. But to be honest, despite the pro-level driving that we're seeing here, I could honestly say anything could happen here, Nick, with the way that the bump drafting has been out in force tonight.
It's pretty amazing seeing the effect. So you can see our group of cars here all come through at around 122.2 or 0.3 there. The actual Lee Harrison and Ben Snell are almost half a second to a second slower. So even though you see that this big group are scrapping all in together, all swapping and changing, it looks slower, but it's actually faster. And obviously 6 seconds isn't going to be enough there to pull in that gap there. But on a longer race or even a mistake, and yeah, this group here would absolutely swallow them up.
Indeed. See here, Hobbo looking to pull to the inside of Jack Boyd. He's able to cover off Glenn Boyd just in time. But meanwhile, that's Owen Coleman looking for a bit of the action at the same time. But up in front, it's Sean Doyle and Dennis Hancock. They're going to take the white flag here to begin start the final lap here for race number 2 of the night for the Pro Class. They've got their teammate Scott Harvey here riding along with, but unfortunately Scott is down in 20th place. We need to keep our eyes on this battle though. Owen Coleman's made his way alongside Jack Boyd. Boyd going off the track somewhat, but Coleman incredibly slow here through the final corner. That's not helped his chances, and it's also hurt his teammate of Caleb Patterson, I believe, who's gotten stuck up behind him. And as these guys now spread out in single file, Brenton Bull looking for the inside on Patterson. Has to tuck back in. Meanwhile, Coleman too deep on the brakes into turn 1, almost up the back of Glenn Boyd. Meanwhile, Hobbo looking to push the car as well. Runs a little bit wide, but still with Jack Boyd. We've now got 2 groups of 3 here as they head up the S for the final time, Nick.
You'd have to say it has opened up just a little bit of a gap there. Caleb Patterson, they're just under a second there, so it's potential that they could pull that draft in. You can see Lee Harrison and Ben Snell there up the road, those two working together. So I think the Elbows are going to get out in between those two there to try and see who can pip each other for the line. Jack Boyd, sorry, just off camera there, Jack Boyd right in the back there of Glenn Boyd. Great work there by White Knuckle Racing, not Middle Finger Racing. It's what I called him a little bit earlier there. Dennis Hancock and Sean Doyle over the line there. Absolutely stellar effort by those two.
Make it a 1-2 for the team. Obviously, that will mean a pit stop will need to come out from those guys in race 3. Meanwhile, the battle for 5th continues. Ben Snell was leading here to the final turn. So Lee Harrison got enough to get alongside here. It's going to be neck and neck to the line. Ben Snell holds on by 1/100 of a second And then here comes the pack for 7th, which unfortunately we missed. But it's Hobbo leads Jack Boyd and Glenn Boyd. Caleb Patterson and Brenton Bull, Owen Coleman. And it's followed up quickly by Tane Venables and Damon Seeger. They almost caught the back of the mega group there at the end of race 2. As the cars finish up the race here. Last driver out on track is now Sonny Canchin as he makes his way around the final corner, and we'll head to the race results here in just a moment's time, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a winner there. Sean Doyle there, Dennis Hancock of White Knuckle Racing there, Ray Oliver, Cameron Edwards, Ben Snell, and we saw Lee Harrison edging him out there by about 100th of a second there. Brenton Hobson, leader of our next pack to Jack, and Glenn Boyd with Caleb Patterson rounding out our top 10.
And we'll head over the page here. Brenton Bull coming home in 11th, making up a couple of spots there in the end on that pack, so good to see. Closely followed by Owen Coleman. I think Owen there, unfortunately not quite able to get to the front of that pack there. Has to settle for 12th here in race 2. Tane Venables, Damien Seeger, just noticed they're almost able to catch the mega group, but not quite there. They'll have to settle for 13th and 14th place. Kyle Ridley 15th, followed by Nicholas Scaife in 16th. Todd George 17th. Brad Vaughan looking to recover, nevertheless, is back down in 18th there, although I believe that means that's 2 pit stops done for Brad, so we'll hopefully see him come through for race 3. Donny Canchin, not where he would want to be, I think, in 19th place, and the last of our lead lap drivers gives us Scott Harvey in 20th place and 1 lap down, and head over the page for our final drivers here. Nick Wood 21st, Simon Smith 22nd, Brody Cook 23rd, Jet Johnson, all kinds of trouble for him as we caught there, ends in 24th. Andrew Hobby for 25th, not where he wanted to be either, I'm sure, after being in that lead pack. Aaron Oliver 26th, let's get the 6s out tonight. Lucas McCullough 27th, Tom Huggan 28th, also losing Tom from the lead pack. Steve McMahon 29th, and that's Daniel Webster rounding out the top 30 there for us. I believe we might have a driver or two over the page. Indeed we do. Wayne Losh 31st and 3 laps down. Adam Sharp and Damon Mulqueen in the server, but completing 0 laps in that race there. Well, we've got a short break here, Nick. I feel like now's probably a good time actually to jump on and just say a big thanks to all of the sponsors for the SimWorks Roadster Rumble here for season number 3, as there's quite a few brands coming on board to help make this series possible, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got KP Tech, Palmer's, Rinaldi, Automotive Towing, and Race Labs, as well as SimWorks, Phoenix Smokers, all coming through from the last season, as well as welcoming on our new sponsors there of True Clean Auto Detailing, Motorsport Hauler, and the Aussie Carts as well, Automotive Towing. So some awesome sponsors, some carried over from previous seasons, and some jumping on board for this time around as well.
Indeed. It's great to see we've got plenty of real-world motorsport, plenty of real-world brands, and a couple of sim brands in there for good measure. So, obviously, the admins got plenty of, making contacts to good use, and definitely helping get a series up that allows, as I said, 90 entries for season number 3 here. And as you can see there, round 0 this week. So we haven't even gotten to the point scoring races, and we've had this action for you already tonight. Well, that's the warm-up done, folks, so it's almost time to head to the grid and get this 3rd race underway in just a moment's time.
Yeah, we'll have to say as well, big prize pool with the sponsors and stuff coming on board, so it can be definitely such a Premier League, as well as having a big prize pool with everyone all out with a chance to win something.
All right, here is our grid for race number 3. We'll just jump through the top 10. It's Sean Doyle on the pole position, thanks to that race 2 win, followed by Dennis Hancock, Ray Oliver alongside Cameron Edwards on row 2, Ben Snell in 5th, just edging out Lee Harrison there for 6th. And we'll head over the page for, we'll do the top 12 while we're at it. Brenton Hobson, Jack Boyd, Glenn Boyd, Caleb Pattinson, Brenton Bull, and Owen Coleman. That's our first 6 rows. There are plenty more cars on track, but we'll have to keep an eye on them as the race unfolds. And we stand by here for the race start for the final race of the evening, Nick.
Yeah, just as we're about, we are going to go green. We did see a few end-of-line penalties. We'll have to go through them at a little bit later date as we cover the start of the race there. I think that is Sean Doyle and Dennis Hancock off to a really good start.
Indeed, Doyle from the pole position there on the inside comes across to take the racing line ahead of his teammate Hancock. It's Ray Oliver and Cameron Edwards, so two sets of teammates on the first two rows of the group, but Ben Snell was having none of that early on. Immediately up the inside of turn one, but spin at the exit in the mid-pack. Goodness me, who is that? A couple of cars out wide. It's Damien Seeger and Jet Johnson. Oh my goodness. The bad luck continues for Jet, it would seem. But the fight's up the front of the field. Sean Doyle has the lead for now, but watch them come as the toe kicks in here down the front straight. They're already fanning out though. Snell to the inside. It's Ray Oliver to the outside. Has to get on the brakes. Ray Oliver does from P2. Nell's probably going to get a push here, possibly all the way to the race lead as they come on the brakes for the carousel. The first time. Oh, the grass for Ben Snell at turn 5. He's able to pull it up though and doesn't run wide into Doyle. So we're going to be side by side on the exit here on lap 1, Nick. It's already going off. Unfortunately, accident turn 1, but we've been clean for the rest of the lap so far. I cross my fingers and hope that I'm not made a liar in just a moment's time.
Yeah, it is cold tyres, so these, some of these tighter corners are going to be a little bit tricky to navigate. You don't want to start unsettling the car left to right as well. Hoping that no one's going to try and choose that pit entry. You'd have to be crazy to do that in such a big pack there. That it is going to be Ben Snell there over the line. We are actually seeing Jack Boyd is coming into the pits. He's going to get his pit stop done early. Did receive a end-of-line penalty, so trying to maybe make the most of a bad situation there at the moment. We have seen that is Sean Doyle into second place here. I think that is car 26 there of Lee Harrison into third.
Harrison having done pit stops in races 1 and 2 on lap 1 in both occasions. So he has cleared his pit stop requirements and certainly in with a chance at the race win here. And I do believe, Jack Boyd taking to the pit lane there simply for the pit stop, since there is no way to serve an end-of-line penalty on a standing start grid, if I'm not mistaken, although I've never tried issuing it myself as an admin. Oh, bit of noise and contact from that one, but I don't think there's anything too serious as it would seem. But it's Lee Harrison to the lead of the race around the carousel here on lap 2, but closely followed by Brenton Hobson. And then we've got Ben Snell and Sean Doyle. They're not going to let them get away anytime soon, I don't think. And then the second pack is coming, but effectively it looks like it's a pack effectively 1st to 14th, covered by at most 3 seconds. Look at that. As we said, it's stock car like pack racing, but we're here on a road course. Cars tight on the inside line. They're heading for the pit lane. Hancock and Doyle unfortunately need to take a pit stop here in race 3. They're followed in, I believe, by Glenn Boyd. So that's both of the Boyd machines, and they're also followed by Nick Wood taking his second stop of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Might be a bit wise to, you could see just how heated some of these battle packs were, so it might have been a bit of a wise decision. Try and get the pits through. This is going to be a tricky part of the course there. They really kind of hang left and then hang right there as well. You're such a, the actual track actually goes quite narrow there over that bridge section, so it's not really a great part of the circuit to be too wide, but you can just see now they are going to go 2 by 2. Hold your breath as they come through there. I think that is Owen Coleman in behind. I think Tane Venables there, so he's going to be pushing along there. You can just see how many cars are in the back there as well. It only takes one person to touch the brakes there, and it absolutely stops everyone up.
Goodness me, that was Brad Vaughan trying to go the 3 wide around the outside. Wasn't able to make it stick. The downshift boys of Venables and Coleman have done the excellent bit of bump draft teammate work, able to beat out Cameron Edwards there, being pushed along by Brad Vaughan. I think Vaughan was just too close at the top of the S's last time round, unable to make it work. Meanwhile, Ray Oliver's slow, but spin! That's Edwards! It's caught Brad Vaughan and a Carbon Esports car, I believe, on the outside there. Oh my goodness, we just look away for a moment. Oh, it's Brenton Ball after that solid run in the major pack for race 2. He's been tripped up in it, Nick, and let's head to the Virtual Racing School replay to get another look at that one there.
You could see Cameron Edwards as well being one of the big losers in that. It's probably almost more crazy that it didn't take out more cars there. It's such a circuit there as well.
Goodness me, I'm sorry, Brad Vaughan, what were you thinking with the rejoin there? Straight into the side of Edwards and has completely tripped up there. It probably doesn't help, to be honest. I did notice Edwards did blink for a moment there, but then all of a sudden, swing and back across. Although, Okay. That on board, okay, puts a bit of doubt in my mind. So maybe erase that and we'll just go with 50-50 to be confirmed on that
We'll
one there.
have to see how the race control see that. I'm sure that they're going to have a pretty good look at. Yeah, we've got quite a few staff here in race control. Quite obvious, you can see why with some of the action out on track there. Ben Snell leading out Brenton Hobson, leading out Lee Harrison here at the moment. These three have all quite familiar with each other here at the moment. Great work there by Ben Snell, slotting his way up into first from 5th place as well. We're actually seeing a couple more cars there into the pits here at the moment. I think that is car 99 there of Ray Oliver. So Oliver getting that pit stop done there. Gee, Brenton Hobson there almost locked up the brakes. You could see how much that car was squirming. So great overtake there by Hobson, but we'd have to say there, I think both Snell and Lee Harrison are probably going to just absolutely breeze on by there as they reach the straight.
You sure would think so, Nick. As you see at top of the S's, Snell was already at the bumper of Hobbo. So on the oh goodness me, Snell trying to force Hobbo tight. Hobbo's having none of that though, and thankfully that side-by-side contact has only ended up in a slight loss in speed, and well, they're still going straight. So to be honest, it's about as good as the outcome as we could get at this moment. Lee Harrison opts to sit back and just allow these two to duke it out, because to be honest, if these two are going to go aggressive after each other, Lee doesn't need to do much because he won't be able to break away if he tries to push on here. It has brought Caleb Patterson right up to them. Caleb was just a little bit adrift, but he's now right behind Lee, and it's bringing Tane Venables and then Owen Coleman, 3 of the downshift racing cars, now all in it, you would believe, with a chance to win. And here it is. It's a lead pack of 6 as they come around the final corner to start lap number 6.
You'd have to say there, both for Hobson, Snell and Lee, it's probably almost the last thing you want are those 3 downshift cars rushing up on you, because they're all going to be coordinated and they're all super, super fast there. Tane Venables, a previous race winner that we've seen in the past there. And, oh, gee, car 9 there. It's actually, I think that is Aaron Oliver there.
Oh, you'd have to be kidding me. I just said he had some of the worst luck here tonight. It's only gotten worse. He made his way up 10 positions here on the race start, and unfortunately, it's just going backwards. Virtual Racing Score replay coming up on screen here. I believe we're on board with Oliver as we're heading, Aaron Oliver, as we're heading down the front straight here. Indeed we are. Looking to the inside there. That was, oh goodness, Kyle Ridley there. And just on a bump and a spin, and around he goes. Certainly not what he was after.
There, when the car's so unloaded there, on the, particularly in that corner there, you can see all the weight is off that right-hand side of the car there.
And yeah, so very unlucky with the way the car was loaded there. And in the meantime, whilst this has been going on, Race Control has indeed made a decision about the incident involving Cam Edwards and Bradley Vaughan. Drive-through penalty, Bradley Vaughan, for that incident there.
So penalties handed down. We haven't actually seen too many for this race in particular. Thankfully, they've either been racing incidents or cars coming out on their own here. But
oh, trouble in the front pack. Coleman too late on the brakes. Thankfully, avoids running up the back of his teammate Patterson, but takes himself out of the pack. And that's his left front done, I believe. He's going to have to limp that one back all the way around to the pit lane there, Nick. Oh, dear.
Just a minor lapse in concentration there. You can see that that wheel was well and truly jammed underneath the car there, so it's going to be quite difficult for him to get back, especially when they're running 3 wide. You can see just how wide they run it here on the straight. You really don't want to be a sitting duck. There's all these cars flying past you there at 210 k's an hour as such.
So here, Lee Harrison left out the dry as Patterson looks to the inside now, along with Venables. They're here to make a statement. Obviously, they can work together. Well, teammates here, you would think, coordinating together to try and work through this pack and time the run right. But you can see Patterson towards the back of the pack here for now is happy just to roll out of the throttle early and sort of just sit here and be patient. It's exactly what he needs to do. Got Sonny Canshin behind him. He's now 6th place, but the gap back from the leader, Ben Snell, to Sonny is 3.6 seconds. The front 5 covered by less than 1 second here as they come onto the front straight. And then just looking towards the back of the second group here, Simon Joel Smith. Let me find you, Simon.
Yeah,
10th place. My apologies. Here we are, down to turn 1.
Yeah, we've seen definitely some flashes of brilliance from him from some of our previous rounds there, so he's doing quite well. Such a, you'd have to say, such a stacked pro class. As we've seen in previous rounds, in such a stacked field that we have here in the pro class here tonight. That is Taine Venables. He really is going to be the dark horse, I reckon, in this leading group here.
You see, Patterson with the punt and a half to Venables, his teammate. Thank goodness it came before the braking zone, because I reckon if that timing was wrong, that would have been nasty. Venables in deep to the carousel, trying to stick right on the back end of Hobson, who's come through to take the race lead here on lap number 8 of 15. Ben Snell having to concede here, but will be able to tuck up behind Hobson, and has Lee Harrison tucked up right behind him for good measure. So these guys obviously still trying to figure it out with each other as to who's going to take the lead and when. Venables went for it round the outside of the penultimate corner, but wasn't able to make it stick there. So small gap there for Brenton now as he comes onto the front straight. Meanwhile, Aaron Oliver, Jet Johnson, 2 drivers that definitely had a rough race. Number 2, they're now fighting over position number 16. And behind them, Jack Boyd leads a pack starting in 19th. Back to Dennis Hancock in 24th. These are the guys that took a pit stop here in race number 3. They're going to be hoping either for some more drama or the opportunity to be able to just work their way back up to towards the lead pack at the end of the race. But with the drafting nature and the fact that there is a lead pack that is itself drafting, I think, to be honest, just they haven't made the right strategy call here tonight, Nick, those guys.
Talking strategy, though, you'd have to say that Caleb Patterson, pretty much the rear gunner there for Taine Venables. He's going to jump right on that rear bar, push him along. Fortunately, Taine Venables very lucky there not to lose it. He's actually bumped him all the way to the front of the pack there. It's a very unique strategy between those two. So that's actually pushed Taine all the way to the front. Maybe a little bit of practice for a little bit later on. We are only on lap 9, so Taine is going to be swallowed up a little bit later on in this lap or at the start of the next.
Indeed, yeah.
With Caleb Patterson working together.
Indeed. Hobo getting a good run here through the penultimate corner, so he'll be all over the back end of Venables down to turn 1, I would suspect. But it does mean, yes, it's probably not the optimal strategy. Now Venables out in front of the pack. Patterson's going to have to work from 4th position here to try and get back up to the back of Taine here with Hobo and Snell in between. Hobo looks to the inside of Venables and goes for under brakes immediately. So not waiting around us, Hobo. We've got 6 laps to go here, so anything is on for this pack. And the more they keep doing this, and the draft is doing what it does best. Sonny Canshin is coming. He is now 3/10 off the back of Lee Harrison as they head up the hill. We're not going to have a pack of 5 for the race lead. We're going to have a pack of 11 for the race lead in the next lap here, Nick. It's on.
Yeah, you're just seeing just that gap getting whittled away there. 3/10, 2.5, down to 2/10. You can see Sonny Canshin there absolutely reeling in. All these cars are as well. Also Andrew Hobby and Nicholas Scaife in there as well. So it's just making that, see that side contact. I think that was Lee Harrison there with one of the downshift cars there. Taine Venables getting knocked back again. So he's going to be knocked back into next to his teammate there, Caleb Patterson. He's actually going to be behind Caleb Patterson there. Andrew Hobby's a bit of a dark horse in all this. He's a bit of a Lone Ranger as well. He's going to be hung out to the outside.
5 has become 7 up front, but might as well call it 5 has become 11. Nicholas Scaife has joined the immediate back of the pack, and, well, here comes Brody Cook, Simon Joel Smith, and Scott Harvey as well. So, as I said, 11 cars fighting for the race lead, and we've got 5 laps to go here. The draft is powerful. Snell has half a second, but just you watch that gap evaporate up the S's once more. As you see here, it's Sonny Canshin trying to fend off Caleb Patterson to hold on to 4th position. It allows Patterson surely to lead Venables up the hill there, but no. Venables goes for it. He's going to leave Patterson out to dry through the left part of the S's. But then again, roll reversal up the left-hand corner of the S's at the top of the hill. Patterson's been left out to dry for proper this time. Hobby goes through on the inside and is going to get up behind Venables. And here comes Nicholas Scaife, Nick.
Yeah, we just saw Andrew Hobby in behind Venables as well. You saw the actual feedback from Caleb Patterson there, trying to get him behind his teammate of Taine Venables to be able to push him along. You're seeing he's got to try and switch over to the other side of the track there so he can get him behind his teammate. Those two absolutely working together there as well. Andrew Hobby doing an absolutely great job there. He's actually picked himself through two of the cars there so far. Oh, as we just saw Clean Venables off in the grass.
Oh my goodness me, he's held on to it. That's incredible. Excellent car control from Venables. It has bottled the pack up a little bit, so 7 becomes 11. Well, yeah, it's now basically 11. As I said, it was last lap, but even more so now. And while we were talking about the fighting for 5th and so, Lee Harrison caught Ben Snell, but Ben Snell straight pack past Harrison, and in the meantime, immediately behind Sonny Canshin, as we saw, not opting the wait around behind for 5th, doesn't want to rein around for 4th, and has gone for 3rd here off Hobbo as they head up the hill. Harrison on the brakes, trying to time the run here to get back past Ben Snell and not lose any positions to the guys behind like Canshin and Hobson. Oh no, trouble in the backpack. That's Glenn Boyd, and along with Ray Oliver and Tom Huggan caught up in that as well, perhaps, or has Huggan gotten through okay? Not sure there, but at least 2 cars there caught up in that mess. Snell back to the lead, but we are 3 wide and make that 2-3 deep into the carousel. Ooh, deeper, they're rubbing, but they're holding it together here, folks.
I was about to say there, Ben Snell in a really vulnerable position there. There's not much you can do. Feel that first wheel, all you've got to do is be a sitting duck and hope that everyone else gives you enough room there as well. It's a three-way nose to tail there into Brenton Hobson there as well. You'd have to say Brenton Hobson there. He's going to come around on this lap there at the moment, but it's a different leader every lap there. I think it was Lee Harrison on the last, it was Ben Snell on the last before that. So Sonny Canshin there as well, pushing his way up to 3rd. So it's really a mixed bag now between these 7 drivers. It's not going to be Brenton Hobson going to be leading on the end of this lap.
Yeah, quite likely. Meanwhile, in the middle of the group now, it's Nicholas Scaife going for the move on Caleb Patterson. Gets himself up into position number 7. It's splitting the downshift cars even more so. Venables is holding on to 4th, but Patterson is down in 8th. That coordination is going to be difficult now. Obviously, the draft will allow him to come back up to the front of the field. Hobbo goes middle of track down the back straight. Ben Snell out to the left side. Lap car in the grass. Watch out, Sonny. Oh, it works out okay. His cones go flying, and that lap car is still in the grass. Hopefully doesn't trip up the back of this lead pack. The answer is I don't think so. But Venables and Hobby nose to tail. A little bit of wobble there. It's worked out okay, though. Ben Snell to the race lead, though, here on lap number 13. Less than, well, approaching 2 laps to go here, Nick. It's going to be a wild finish once again.
Yeah, Canshin picking off another car again. So we saw that when he approached this group almost in about 7th or 8th place there. So he's managed to just shuffle through one by one. If he counts his laps right there, you'd have to say there, Sonny Canshin highly likely he's going to be leading that next lap there as well. Just in other news as well, Jack Boyd there with with a penalty. So he'll get a drive through coming through for car 58.
Indeed, not the way Jack Boyd wanted his race to end tonight. But as you were saying, Sonny Canshin has timed his run quite well. 2 laps to go as they come up the S's once again here, folks. Sonny this time, though, unlike the previous laps, does not go for the move at turn 1. Opts to hold it up here to get the run on Ben Snell down the back straight. Here we go. How many cars wide do we go? Contact between Canshin and Snell. They're tied up against the inside. That's 3 deep. Contact! Oh, how are we going to lose? We're going to lose Venables and Set. Oh, no, I was just talking him up. Canshin has been the victim of nose-to-tail contact. That's his day done. And it's promoted Andrew Hobby to the race lead. Lee Harrison jumps back up to 2nd place after dropping into the middle of the pack for a couple of laps. We're 3 wide on the exit of the carousel. Don't make that 4 wide. Goodness me, we are. Oh, Patterson gets past Snell. Meanwhile, we've got Scaife and Hobbo. Oh, there's more bumping and grinding going on. Oh, Glenn Boyd's car is toast. He's off at the penultimate corner. He's not going anywhere. That's his race done. Out of the back of the lead pack. White flag is in the air. Andrew Hobby's going to be the first one to see it by, but he is certainly not the race leader. Lee Harrison is right behind. He's got Hobbo for company. Who wins this race here for the opening, preseason round of SimWorks Roads to Rumble, Nick? I'm not sure just yet.
How did Hobson save that as well? He was right in the middle of that contact. He got hit really hard. Thankfully, not enough damage there to slow him up too much as well. Would have to say there, Andrew Hobby the sitting duck in all this. So we've lost.
Flag for Andrew Hobby! Black flag for Andrew Hobby! Just there from race control. I'm sorry to cut in, but that's obviously race implications right there. Hobby's race is done. And it's going to give Lee Harrison a chance at the win, but here comes Hobbo.
Yes, it's going to be on between these two here. So it's really thinned it out between two cars, between Lee Harrison, between Brenton Hobson as well. Oh, as we're just seeing, Lee Harrison just holding on there as well. Hobson running it really, really wide there. Caleb Patterson coming out from nowhere was all the way in 8th place there, up into 3rd.
Three-way fight possibly here, but side by side, Harrison up the inside of Hobbo. Penultimate corner, they're going to stick it together. What does Patterson do here? He's got the hot seat if he can get the run out of the corner, but here also Hobbo in front. Will Harrison get up the inside? The answer is I'm not quite sure. We're going to have a drag race to the line. It's a repeat from race 2 for Lee Harrison, but I don't think he's going to do it. It's going to be Brenton Hobson who takes the win in race 3. Lee Harrison for 2nd place. Patterson tried, but unfortunately not able to make the run count there. And Andrew Hobby has to pull into the pits to take a drive-through penalty. That's not what he wanted. Meanwhile, as we see back in the field here, Aaron Oliver and Jet Johnson continuing to scrap.
These two have been at it.
Which two of the unlucky battlers can fend it off? I think it's going to be Aaron Oliver here with the run around the outside. As we've seen all night long, outside line is strong at several places, and yes, he is. Oh my goodness, that was a good call to the finish there on the final lap, but not the way a couple of guys wanted that one to end there, Nick.
Yeah, what an exciting way to finish there as well. Simon Joel Smith getting a penalty there. It was actually off screen there. We didn't really get the chance to see what happened there. I think that was on the actual second last lap. Just behind our big group, there was some pretty big contact between himself and Glenn Boyd, which unfortunately put Glenn Boyd as a retirement.
Indeed. So here are our race results from that 3rd and final race tonight in the Pro class. Brenton Hobson, less than 3/100ths clear of Lee Harrison at the end of the race there. 2nd place for Lee there, unfortunately not able to capitalise on the last lap toe and the last corner run, I should say. It's going to be Caleb Patterson holding on to 3rd place there, 2.5 tenths back. Almost a case of what could have been there. Scott Harvey coming through the chaos and destruction at the end for 4th place, followed by Nicholas Scaife, Brody Cook, Ben Snell, Lucas Vakaloff, Todd George, and Kyle Ridley being elevated into the top 10 there with those post-race penalties for a couple of drivers there, Nick, as we head over the page.
Yeah, Lucas Mikulev there, up 19 positions there into that 8th position there. So Brenton Bull, Aaron Oliver, both Aaron Oliver and Jet Johnson both having quite a lot of bad luck there. Bradley Vaughan, White Knuckle Racing there of Sean Doyle, Dennis Hancock. Simon Joel Smith there getting a penalty as well, so he's provisionally in 17th. I think he actually might put him a little bit further down there. Tom Huggin, Andrew Hobby there getting that penalty as well, and as well as Ray Oliver there in 20th position.
And over the page for one final time, our final finishers in the field. Jack Boyd, 21st place, certainly not where his pace should have put him tonight, you would say. Followed by Sonny Canchin, there definitely not where he wanted to finish in 22nd, and our last finisher on the lead lap. He's followed by Tane Venables in 23rd, Owen Coleman 24th, Nick Wood 25th, and Cameron Edwards 26th. 27th to Glenn Boyd, and 2 laps down, unfortunately, and then Damien Seeger, our last driver, also 13 laps down. Not the way he would have wanted his night to end. Well, looks like we've got, I believe, Lee Harrison awaiting a chat here, so we'll bring him into the box. Lee, thanks for joining us here after the races tonight. Great to have the Simworks Sports Car Rumble back on here, and also 2nd place for you there in the 3rd race tonight. Busy for the Pro class here with drafting at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's always going to throw up a bit of a spanner in the works racing these cars around such a draft-heavy track, but that's what what makes it exciting, and hopefully it was a good show for you guys. Unfortunately, we had a few mishaps, but that's everyone trying to find their feet and how each other races. You know, there's a few new guys up here mixing it up at the front, so it's been good to sort of scope them out in round 0 where you know no points are really on the line, and we can get a good gauge on what the competition is going to be like heading into round 1 next week.
Very true there, Lee. With the pit strategy tonight, both yourself and Aaron Oliver committing to the lap 1 pit stops in races 1 and 2. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out for Aaron in race 2 at the very least there, getting tagged by Hobson, who was right behind him. I think, obviously, it's a bit of an exception here at Watkins Glen because of the way pit entry works and how it's smack bang on the racing line. Is that the kind of thing to factor into at other tracks? Do you expect on the calendar, or will it be the case of just that's a thing you can do with less pressure looking forward at the calendar for the full season here?
I don't think it's going to be as crucial with some of the other tracks. Here, obviously, with the draft, it was important to just try and find someone that you were comfortable working with for a lot of laps. Myself and Aaron, we made the decision quite early before, even qualifying, that we were going to pit for the first 2 races and then head into the third race and go for gold. Unfortunately, like you said, the pit entry here is pretty tricky. A lot of the other tracks on the calendar, the pit entry's a lot less tricky, but I think pit strategy is going to come into play. There's a lot of different formats to look out for with the enduros and the semi-enduro rounds, and then these sprint races again, whether we're taking 2 tyres, 4 tyres, fuel or whatever. So lots of strategies to play out in other races, but this one was all about getting on the pit stop out the way early, taking those 2 tyres and not having too much downtime, fighting in a pack.
Indeed, yeah, we saw a couple of drivers trying for a pit stop in race 3 and it didn't seem to work out for them. In comparison to the race 1 and race 2 stops, well, I think that will do it for terms of race talk. So well done there for position number 2, and we'd like to thank any sponsors on the car and for yourself here after that one there tonight.
Yeah, of course. Big shout out to all the admin team that have put the series together again. Greg works tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that we've got a good car count, and it shows with, I think, almost 80 cars across both splits taking part and running 2 circuits, different circuits for each category is a massive amount of work. So well done to him and everyone else involved in the back end, and of course our major sponsor SimWorks. We can't do it without them, but lots of other sponsors to thank as well. Phoenix Smokers, KP Tech, Rinaldi, Motorsport Haulers, True Clean Auto Detailing, Automotive Towing, Race Labs, Aussie Karts, an electric hire karting place opening up here in Adelaide. Of course, you guys for putting in the hard yards, yourself, Nick, Jay from SimSpeed for putting on an awesome show, and Palmer's of Palmer's Skincare. Absolutely worked up a sweat here, and my hands have absolutely copped it. So I'm going to go and pour myself a nice homemade Baileys after this, and wait for the drinking to finish, wait for the driving finish before we start drinking, and then I'm going to finish my night off by refreshing my hands with some nice Palmer's coconut scented body butter, and get into bed. So thanks for everything, guys.
Thank you, Lee. There indeed, excellent dropping there of the sponsor brands, and I think yes, putting the drinks for afterwards would be a good idea indeed. Well, that's going to more or less do us for tonight here, Nick. We look ahead to round number 1 next Tuesday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. We head to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. That means I'm sure we're going to see a lot more drafting like we saw tonight for the Pro Class at Watkins Glen, and it's also an endurance round format. So that'll be awesome, because I think that'll mean pit strategy plays a little bit of a different role there, and we'll maybe see some different things play out, whereas I think tonight there was sort of one strategy worked best. So your thoughts on next week?
Yeah, absolutely. It actually just made me laugh there with Lee saying trying to get to sleep. I think it might need a long walk or something to come down off that adrenaline there. So so much action there. I have to say this with Spa-Francorchamps as well. Big draft, but probably a little bit more of a technical track there as well. So even though high speeds, maybe a little bit of a different strategy to maybe what we saw here tonight. But yeah, will always be great racing, I would say, between both the AM and the Pro classes.
I sure think so indeed, Nick. I mean, yeah, home to GT racing and endurance racing, but MX5s will probably put on just the same kind of show, maybe a little bit slower per lap though, nevertheless. That will do us for tonight. My name's been Daniel Yeaman, Nick Scrave alongside me in the commentary box, and Jake Kennedy on production and cameras. Hope you've enjoyed the pre-season race for the SimWorks Roadster Rumble Season 3. And until next time, bye for now.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney! Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Sec's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?